But as we've seen in this fender-to-fender year, anything can happen on a racetrack. Men like Darrell Waltrip, winner of the Daytona 500. Bill Elliott, a 6-time winner here. Pole position. And Rusty Wallace, up-and-coming young star, are all drawing a bead on Earnhardt today. What man and what car will conquer this Speedway? We'll know soon enough as CBS Sports presents the Michigan 400. This is the 14th race of the season and marks the halfway point of NASCAR Senior Circuit. So far, 7 drivers have been who have not been able to post a victory are our front row starters. Chevy-mounted Ken Schrader and Ford's #1 driver, national champion Bill Elliott. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Economaki, wondering how these young men are reacting to being only 1 hour from Motown, home base of the industrialists who stand behind their nameplates. It's no secret, both Schrader and Elliott are under the gun to win. What's on their minds? Here's my friend Mike Joy with Bill Elliott.
Well, Bill, one of your crewmen just corrected me. The last time you needed to win this late in the season, he said it's happened 3 times. You got it in this race, 84, 86, and 1989. Are you folks ready to pull this one off today?
Well, I hope so. You know, the way everything's gone this year, it's been a tough season for us, but we're getting it back together right now. We qualified good and looking for a good day.
Hurt the arm, lost a good car in Daytona. Ready to come back and make a run for that Winston Cup championship?
Well, I hope so. The way Earnhardt's been running here lately, he's going to be a tough guy to catch. We're going to give it our best shot.
Good luck today. The man that shares the front row with Bill Elliott is also looking for his first win of the season. It's the 2nd pole position for the hard charger from Fenton, Missouri, but he's looking for that all-important big win. Kenny Schrader, how hard are you going to push this thing today?
Well, just like any other race, you know, we're just going to run this thing as hard as we can all day.
It's the only way I've ever seen you drive. Now, there's a $91,000 bonus if you can win this from the pole.
We're going to try awful hard. You know, it's good to know that we're the only one that's got a shot at that $91,000. We're going to try to take it home with us tonight.
Schrader, Elliott, in fact, the first 5 drivers here have yet to win on the circuit this year. The man who's been doing all the charging and the winning since Charlotte Motor Speedway in May is the man in black. Dale Earnhardt, who drives the Richard Childress car, set to get this thing underway. What's happened since late May that have made you guys the toast of the circuit and given you what is for this race an uncatchable point lead?
Well, real good, consistent race team, really. Guys, it's been working hard. We got this new Lumina, and we've been running it, and it helped out a lot. You know, just really good, consistent race, and we've been trying to put a little pressure on everybody.
Lost your engine man the end of last season, had to debut a new car here. A lot of folks thought you were out of the hunt in the early season, but you guys are back with a vengeance.
Yeah, don't ever count Richard Childress and this team out. You know, he really is motivated. He pumps everybody up and works hard and keeps us all going.
Dale, good luck today. Let's go to the top of Michigan International Speedway and meet some of the gentlemen that will call today's race. Let's go to Ken Squire with 2-time Grand National champion Ned Jarrett.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. 40 cars separated by less than 2 seconds as we get ready to battle for $615,000 over 400 miles, 200 laps of competition today. That calls for a slick track here at Michigan.
Ken, this track lends itself to some great race, sometimes 2, 3, and 4 abreast, but the temperature does have a major effect on it. It makes it very slick, and I think if the temperature continues to go up, we're going to see some drivers begging for an opportunity to come in and get a chassis adjustment.
Well, all week we've been talking about the potential. How about it, Jared?
Well, I'd say that Mark Martin would be a big choice on that line. He has 4 poles to his credit so far this year and has been knocking at the door all year long. Sterling Marlin is running very strong here in practice, looking for his first Winston Cup victory ever. And let's don't count out Darrell Waltrip. Certainly he's not a dark horse. He has 4 wins already this year.
It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out contest. So stay tuned for CBS Live flag-to-flag coverage of the Michigan 400.
This CBS Sports Special, the Michigan 400, is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear.
Preparing for those famous words to start a race, and a very special person to do that today, standing alongside Mike Joy.
field with a very special guest. Bobby Allison, the last time we stood with you on CBS TV Live, it was in Victory Lane for the Daytona 500. I know that was a very special day for you. We're thrilled to have you with us here this afternoon, and we hope that there are many special days ahead for you in the years to come.
Well, thank you, Mike. I really do appreciate that. I want to say to the folks that I really appreciate the cards and the prayers and all the good wishes that have been sent my way. And gentlemen, start your engines.
Starting grid for today's race. On the pole for the second time this year, Ken Schrader. Outside of the front row looking for his first win, Bill Elliott. Going to row number 2. And there you have Alan Kowicki and Mark Martin, 2 strong dark horses with Fords today. In row 3, there you find Jeff Bodine, and alongside the leader in the Winston Cup standings, Dale Earnhardt. For row 4, Harry Gant, who's already a winner this year, and another leading dark horse, Sterling Marlin's number 94. In row 5, it's Rusty Wallace, and alongside him is Davey Allison, who won at Talladega. Going to row number 6, there's Terry Labonte, fresh from victory at Pocono, and Rick Wilson, that hard charger in the Oldsmobile. For row 7 today, Brett Bodine in the number 15, Bud Moore car, and Darrell Waltrip, 4 wins this season. In row 8 for this afternoon's competition, Lake Speed is on the inside, and Derek Cope from Spanaway, Washington beside him. In row 9, it'll be Neil Bonnet and Dale Jarrett in the number 29. For row 10, it's Hut Strickland and then Mr. Excitement himself, Jimmy Spencer in the Buddy Baker car. In row 11, there you have Greg Sachs with his new team and Kyle Petty. Going to row 12, and there's Morgan Shepherd, and Ronnie Thomas is scheduled for the outside. Row 13, Dick Trickle, that outstanding Midwestern runner, and Larry Pearson, the 2 leaders in the rookie standings. Row 14, Bobby Hillen and Mike Waltrip. In row 15 for today's race, there you have Eddie Bierschwell on the inside and Ernie Irvan along. In row 16, Richard Petty is there, the 1974 winner, and Phil Parsons. Row 17, Ricky Rudd, who did not qualify well, and Dave Marcus, who's been here for every one of the previous 20 races. Field beginning to roll out. Row 18, it's Combs on the inside and Miller on the outside, Butch Miller. Row 19 for today's race, that's Mike Miller there, and Bill Venturini from Chicago, the ARCA champion 2 or 3 years back. Row 19, Jimmy Means and H.B. Bailey ready to go. Rolling out, everybody is moving, and we'll be back for the action of the Michigan 400 live on CBS after these messages. Preliminary lap. We asked a few of the drivers what's on their minds during these pace laps.
Parade lap, you know, he's just sitting down there making sure he got all switches up, getting all adjusted and stuff, and just thinking about using your head, you know, first part of the race, trying to stay up there, wondering if you got the car right and everything, and just kind of wondering how the day's going to go.
The biggest thing is what starts to unfold once the green flag comes out. And where you're going to go, you don't really think about anything just other than getting down to going racing.
I always try to pick out a marker close to my pit so I can engage with a building or a big flagpole. That's really about the biggest thing I think about before the race starts.
You're just looking at your gauges, you're cleaning your tires off, and you're making sure everything's ready to go, temperatures are up, you're talking to your crew back and forth, make sure you have communication all the way around the racetrack, and that's about it.
I'm worried about my race car. I'm worried, do I have it set up properly? Do I have the right gear in the car? Is there anything I could have done prior to this event to be sure that the car is going to do better than it did the day before or the race before? Constant wheels turning in my brain.
I'm trying to settle down, think what I want to do, the right kind of move to make the first race, pay attention to what's going on, and there's no such thing as a game plan, because as soon as they drop that flag, everybody goes in opposite directions, and I think the biggest thing, you got to be ready to roll with whatever punch comes out.
Let's get started. You know, it's time to race. It's all this TV stuff and all this promotions are all over with, and it's time to get down to business, and that's when I'm starting to have fun.
This is Dave Despain. We'll be joining Mike Joy with TV stuff along pit road. Ronnie Thomas is going to start this race dead last. Fans are used to traffic jams. Ronnie got caught in one this morning, has to give up a better than average starting spot. Slated to go 24th. He'll start 40th on the field because he missed the drivers meeting, and the rules say you have to start at the back. Let's get ready for a green flag with Ken Squire. Ken?
Thomas raced in Virginia last night. A little late, a little tardy getting back. Coming down for the start, 3 onboard cameras. We'll be riding with Alan Kowicki, Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip today. 400 miles, 200 laps. You're riding with Kowicki as he brings the field under green. Largest crowd in Michigan history. On their feet. And as they come down into turn number 1, everybody's away safely. Here's Ricky Rudd, the green car down to the bottom. Starting back in 31st, trying to bust out early. He's got a lot of cars he needs to go by. Here he is up beside Dave Marcus in the 71. Meanwhile, back in front, it's even. Elliott on the outside of the 4th. Chevrolet on the inside. Schrader going for the lead. Kowicki back in 3rd. Into turn 3, first time. Ricky Rudd on the move. Away from Kowicki, closing on 3 cars as they come down. Closing on Phil Parsons, and Richard Petty is on the move. Here's Rudd to the bottom of the racetrack. Knocking down 2. 1 lap complete. Back with the leaders.
Rudd had a bad qualifying effort. He almost spun out on his qualifying run, so that's the reason he's starting as far back as he is.
Here he is, busting through more cars, getting around Eddie Bierschwell. Waltrip closes on Rick Wilson. Looks like he's going to get him going into 3. Oldsmobile down to the inside, holding Waltrip off. Running. There you see Rusty Wallace on the outside. Harry Gandon there had that great run, win at Darlington earlier this year. Sterling Marlin's blue and yellow cars coming by this packed grandstand. 55,000 seats, last 300 seats. One on sale at 7 o'clock this morning. We're gone in about 20 minutes. Ooh, Marlin moving out a little, as you saw there. Tight running, and Waltrip stacks him 3 deep, goes all the way to the outside. Marlin takes even a bigger bite. Good start, Chris.
That's an excellent start. You know, there are 5 different makes of cars out there on the track, Ken, and representatives from Detroit of every nameplate are here. These guys know they're being watched by the important people. That means how much money their teams will get next year. Everybody wants to win this one.
14 Pontiacs, 8 Chevrolets, 8 Fords, 6 Oldsmobiles, and 4 Buicks comprise the field. Drivers from 20 states in the 40-car field. 3 laps complete. Back with Waltrip once again.
Drafting plays a major role in racing here at Michigan. The straightaway speeds are upwards of 190 miles an hour as Rodney Combs comes into the pits for an unscheduled pit stop. But we'll see a lot of cars trying to run close on the bumper of the car in front of them as they possibly can. Take advantage of the draft.
Elliott trying to snap out of a losing streak that goes back to Daytona. For the 89 campaign, Schrader right there, set on the floor at Daytona here at 174.7 miles an hour. New record for this 400-mile race. And look at Waltrip dive to the inside as he goes up on Gann. Waltrip getting some running room.
Trouble in turn 1. There's a car smoking very badly up to the front.
Bodine losing 1. Bodine to the bottom. As you watch it live, he comes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Jeff Bodine, Rick Hendrick car, stumbles early. Lucky to get out of the traffic. You run this track like a dirt track.
Yes, you do. You do a lot of sliding in the turns here, and the turns are very long and broad, but you do a lot of sliding.
How much oil do you think got on the track?
Enough to put out the caution.
The caution is coming out for safety reasons.
Racing back to the line. There you see the pits are closed.
This is something relatively new with NASCAR. When the caution comes out, the pits are closed, excepting that Jeff Bodine, well, he's staying out there. He's not even coming in. Apparently, the engine didn't blow. He might have had an oil line break loose or an oil filter to blow off. Sometimes that happens early in the race, so he's staying out there so he won't be penalized. He went by that flag at the end of pit road, which blocks off pit road. They'll have a green flag out next time around, so they will be able to pit.
Happened in lap number 4. We're now working lap number 5. We'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this word from your local station.
Get ready. CBS is getting getting hotter. Get ready. The sparks are gonna fly. Get ready. We're gonna take you higher every time you look us in the eye. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. I'm ready. Get ready for CBS.
This is CBS.
Nice boat.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I got her with a loan from the bank.
Oh, expensive.
No, it's like remodeling the kitchen or buying the new car. I pay the bank a little money each month, and I get to go fishing whenever I can.
What does your wife think of all this?
You're kidding me. She's the one that taught me how to fish.
By the way, where do you get your loans?
Right there, Fort Wayne National. That's my bank.
Today, more than ever, people in northeastern Indiana are saying Fort Wayne National.
That's my bank.
Why are people now choosing News 15 as their newscast? For some very good reasons, like the News Minute, a quick run-through of the smaller but noteworthy local stories. 15 Follow-Up, additional information every Friday on previous stories. Close-Up 15, in-depth coverage covered in one part. Team 15 reports, because two reporters give you better coverage on certain stories. For more reasons, watch News 15, coverage that's interesting, informative, and in touch with you.
Why is win, lose, or draw so much fun?
It's the way of life.
I'm having such a good time.
Brings out the kid in you.
It's fun and exciting.
Now, before we get back to the Michigan 400, let me update you on the Pete Rose situation. Earlier today, a Cincinnati judge granted Pete Rose a temporary restraining order, so he will not have to meet with the commissioner here tomorrow morning in New York. But only moments ago, the commissioner's response to that decision, and I read Baseball Commissioner A. Bartlett Giamatti made the following statement today. I regret the judge's decision. I have absolutely...
CBS will bring them to you. We have a caution created by Jeff Bodine's number 5. He has spewed oil on the track. We've had a safety crew out working, laying down the speedy dry in turns 1 and 2. He's coming off the jack. Let's go to Mike Joy, who can update us on this story.
Well, they just refired Jeff Bodine's car and sent him back out onto the Speedway. The oil in these cars, Ken, is not kept in the bottom of the engine as it is on most passenger cars. It's kept in a reservoir back in the trunk. There's a line that takes that oil back and forth, and that main line has broken. Something flew up, probably hit it, and it's just dripping oil here onto the racetrack. They're talking now about what parts they'll need to fix it, get him back up to competitive speed.
Thank you, Mike. Here are the standings after 6. Elliott out in front for Ford. They've only had a couple of wins this year. Schrader putting that Chevy Lumina on the pole for the first time in its career, lying second. Kowicki's Ford is third. Martin lying fourth, and Wallace in fifth. Field coming through turns 1 and 2. There are your top 5 starters today. Going into the 14th race of the season, and note that none of them have taken home a checker.
That's right. That's interesting. 7 drivers have won. Waltrip the biggest with 4 checkered flags to his credit, but he's not in the lead for the point standings. The consistency of Dale Earnhardt has been remarkable this year.
Only 2 wins for him, but he's up in front. Here's Bodine back on pit road another time. Here's Mike.
That oil scavenge line is the problem, and that snakes in and around the frame, and in most places they have it up where it's protected, but where it runs out of the engine, out of the dry sump pump as it's called, it does pass beneath the frame. And you may be able to see the oil just dripping down there. It's a good steady stream. And Jeff started the motor up. That wasn't quite what they wanted, so they're going to have to at least replace a piece of line back to where some of the threaded fasteners are that hold the sections of line together. Mechanic has just come out with some braided hose and a new oil cooler. There's the metal braided hose developed for the aircraft industry with those special high-pressure fittings. There's a long length of that they're going to have to replace to get Bodine back out. He's going to lose at least 1 lap as we go back to green.
Restart. To the stripe and away. 8 laps complete.
And Ken Schrader got a good jump on the restart. Moved around Bill Elliott.
I think Elliott's car is geared higher than Schrader's car for economy and high speed, but not so much for acceleration.
The other one that's geared real high today is Mark Martin. Jack Roush spent the morning going to a higher gear, thinking they could make this run on 3 fuel stops if they had to go green all the way. From Kowicki, looking back at Mark Martin closing. That's 3rd and 4th. Again, you're back with Dale Earnhardt in his cluster of cars. Earnhardt running in 7th.
And he he just doesn't have a great deal of running room there, Ken. He's watching those cars. That Rick Wilson directly in front of him in the yellow car, number 4.
And the fellow that you said you thought was going to have such a great day, Sterling Marlin, in that blue and yellow car. And here comes Earnhardt up on the outside. They are running the same tire compound that they ran at Michigan in the August race a year ago. But I think as the season goes on, they bring out safer, harder tires. Earnhardt's the man to watch. Dale Earnhardt can run on hard rubber as well as anyone in the game.
Yeah, he likes to slip and slide on the turns. Of course, he'll get some of that here today as the temperatures continue to heat up and they drop a little water and oil on the track. It'll get slicker.
Notice the line they take going into turn 1 as they approach it. So much higher than it used to be. It's way up high going in. That's just strange to me.
It's the old Petty line, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, what?
Let's check in on Ricky Rudd. That green car coming up through, going up on Larry Pearson, currently the number 2 rookie in the series. Bobby Hillin just underneath Richard Petty's car in the back straightaway.
Boy, Ricky Rudd moves around Larry Pearson with ease on the outside, and I believe he's going to take Richard Petty with him as Petty makes the same type of a move, but Ricky Rudd is definitely on the move.
Into 24th.
He got that victory at Sears Point a couple of weeks ago. It does things for you, doesn't it, Ned?
Yes, it does. It'll pump you and the crew up, give you a lot of confidence, and let you make moves on the racetrack that you might not ordinarily make.
Saw him closing on Greg Sachs. They are now back with the leaders. 11 laps complete of 200. Schrader in first. Here comes Elliott back to the inside with Alan Kowicki. Winner of that great race at Phoenix a year ago, lying third.
You can see a little smoke from the tires as they go in. That they're beginning to slip a little bit in those turns.
You can go in awfully hard, look like a real hero on this track, and you can come out of a corner having lost 5 positions. It's very easy to get in here too hard.
You can overdrive this track perhaps easier than any other track on the circuit because it's so smooth and so wide.
What about engine revs, Ned? How many revs does an engine lose in the corners here compared to the straightaway?
About 600 to 700 RPMs here because they do have to decelerate going into the turns to get the car set and head off the turn.
Kowicki trying to come up on the inside, the number 7 car. Mark Martin is lying fourth, and he is showing a wisp of smoke the last time by. Davey Allison in 5th was closing on him.
It looks as if Kowicki's car is working better in the corners than Elliott's car. He can hold it where he wants to a bit easier.
I think the slicker the racetrack gets, the better it'll suit Alan Kowicki. He sets his car up himself, sets it up for slick racetracks as he knows this one usually gets that way, and it'll work to his advantage.
You're riding at about 170 miles per hour down the main straightaway of the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway before the largest crowd that's ever gathered here. You're with Alan Kowicki, Wisconsin campaigner, as he closes on Bill Elliott, a 3-time winner of this event. Spain has an update.
Ken, this racetrack is shaped like a D, only one straightaway. As a result, the cars spend most of the day in some degree of corner, and therefore handling is really one of the keys to getting around this place. The crews can adjust an infinite number of combinations on the car. Many of them revolve around the weight, not just the 3,500-pound actual weight, but also the aerodynamic down pressure, the force of the wind across the car, pressing it into the racetrack. They want a little more than half of the weight on the back of the car, for the same reason you throw sand in the trunk when it's slippery, to get traction. They want a little more than half on the left side of the car to combat the effect of body roll. If they get the front end too tight, the car won't turn into the corner. It'll go to the wall. That's called push. If they get the back too tight, it wants to turn around, swap ends. That's called loose. Hit the happy medium. That's called a neutral handling race car. That's what you want here. The guys who got it go to the front. The guys who don't go to the back. And the guys that are looking for it will be a story all day. That's half the puzzle. For another piece, let's go to Mike Joy.
Well, Dave, while handling is critical, under the hood, in the engine department, also makes a big impression on this racetrack. The back straightaway is straight, the front straightaway is curved. So turn 2 is the tightest corner on this course. Yesterday, Darrell Walton asked his engine man, Randy Dorton, for an engine with more torque coming off of that corner. Their choices, change engine for one with different power characteristic, or change rear end gears to give him more jump off that corner. But if you add that, you lose power down the end of the straightaway and might over rev. Ned Jarrett, when you won the championship here, did you have all these choices to make for chassis and engines?
Well, no, things were quite different back then. It was more simple, Mike, than they have it today.
We've got a Chevrolet leading, and 4 of the 8 Fords in the race are ganging up right behind it. The battle of the brands here, and Ken Schrader, the lone Chevy exponent in the front, leading the race.
That means Elliott's Ford is in second, followed by Kowicki. And he's getting a lot of challenge now as Davey Allison is pulling up. Davey getting into this thing in number 28. Mark Martin has slipped back to 5th. Rusty Wallace is in 6th with his Pontiac. Here's Dave Despain.
Tough luck early for Dick Trickle in the Miller Buick. They brought the car on pit road, misfiring badly. Gone under the hood, air cleaner is off, apparently to go to the ignition. The car sounded like it was misfiring as a result of an ignition problem. Crew has gone under the hood. Rookie of the Year point leader, Dick Trickle, at the age of 47, oldest rookie perhaps in the history of any sport. For the moment, a frustrated Wisconsin star on pit road.
There you saw Kowicki drawing a bead once again as he and Elliott continue a fracas for second place here in turn 1. This is happening in lap 18.
Their paychecks may come from Dearborn, but they don't drive like teammates.
It's each to himself out there. Those 3 Fords are really working on Schrader, but he's withstanding the pressure.
Remember, if he wins today, he gets a bonus of $91,200. It's a skins game established by the Unical Corporation this year. They had $7,600 a race. Only one man has won this year. That was Rusty Wallace after 2 races. So it's worth $91,000 in additional money besides that $615,000 that was posted on the entry blank.
Has been dropping back in the field. Apparently his car not handling too well. That's Lake Speed directly in front of him in car number 83, but he has dropped back considerably, and he's in a big pack of traffic, or a big pack of traffic coming up on him behind him.
He's running 11th. Earnhardt in 11th.
And he started 6th.
Earnhardt is a changed man these days. In this morning's paper, he was quoted as recommending a different diet for Richard Petty. Said that the reason Richard Petty is having so much trouble is he's not in good health and he can't live on chewing tobacco. He recommended a new diet for Richard Petty. All this from Dale Earnhardt.
Dave Despain with a further update on Dick Trickle.
For the guy who has won 1,000 short track main events, it's the proverbial racing story, the $2 part that stops the $70,000 race car. This is the part. It's right out of the distributor. This is the piece that sends the sparks off in the right direction. A little plastic ear broke off of it right here and brought Dick Trickle on. They've tried to refire the car, and he'll get back into the action momentarily.
Out of 4. Real tear, and here comes Ricky Rudd, still busting up through automobiles out of the back of the field. Got some hard running to do. Elliott squeezes by car number 25, and we have a new leader. It's Bill Elliott first, Schrader in second.
And Alan Kowicki is still running in 3rd position. You can see Schrader right directly in front of him, but on his back bumper, the back bumper of Alan Kowicki now, is Davey Allison.
20 laps complete. Schrader first, Elliott second, Kowicki third, Davey Allison fourth, Mark Martin in 5th, Rusty Wallace is in 6th, Darrell Waltrip is in 7th, Sterling Marlin 8th, Rick Wilson 9th, Harry Gant 10th, Earnhardt is 11th, Brett Bodine 12th, Lake Speed is in 13th, Terry Labonte 14th, Derek Cope 15th, Hutch Strickland, the leading rookie qualifier here. He's pulling up. He's in the 16th spot now.
In that pack of cars, there's a lot of position changing going on. Dale Jarrett up there battling with that group of cars. And you can see Ricky Rudd near the tail end of that pack of cars.
Here he is making a hard run right out of the back. Darrell Waltrip closes up on Mark Martin. Darrell is running at 7th position. Martin is in 6th. Main straightaway.
So Martin has dropped back a little bit. Not long ago, he was in 4th position, and Darrell was a little further back, but he has drafted up to them now. He's beginning to be a factor.
The leading echelon is starting. Now, there's David Pearson taking a look at what's going on. The leading echelon is starting to pull away slowly from the rest of the field.
Here's part of the echelon that's trying to catch on to that train. Waltrip pulls up on Mark Martin.
Decelerate as he goes into the turns, gets the car set. Now he'll start accelerating again. He doesn't plant his foot not all the way in it when he starts to accelerate. He sort of eases into it.
Battle for 6, and he's only a second and a half back. And Ricky Rudd further back. He's also clambering up through traffic. Here he is closing on the Strickland car. That's the 16th spot right there.
And Richard Petty has come right up through the traffic with Ricky Rudd. He started pretty far back in this field and has moved along with Rudd. Rudd started in 33rd position. Richard Petty started in 31st position, so he has made the trip up through there with him.
Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer getting taken inside and outside here. Dale Earnhardt pulls up a spot. Ricky Rudd challenging up to 16th from 31st. More from Michigan shortly.
This is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks on the road. And this is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks to the road, where it ultimately responds through the contact patch of its Goodyear Eagle tires. The exclusive tires chosen by Ferrari for every Testarossa sold in America. Goodyear Eagles, because there really is a difference.
Hey guys, look who's here.
It's Mr. Most Likely to Succeed.
Hi, Steve. Nice truck.
Bet it's just like our trucks.
Nah, it's a Ford Ranger XLT. Has anti-lock rear brakes, electronic fuel injection.
How about AM/FM stereo cassette?
That too, plus power steering and 660 powertrain warranty.
Okay, but who paid less?
I did. I hate reunions.
See your dealer now for low financing or special savings on 89 Ford Ranger.
I wasn't sure where to get my muffler fixed.
At Midas, we stock more mufflers than anyone.
Everyone promised low prices.
Midas prices take the sting out of muffler repair costs.
The difference was Midas.
Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
This memory is brought to you by Unical. Since 1951, we fueled more NASCAR winners than all other gasolines combined. And we put that same high performance and winning spirit into gasolines for your car.
What you say we take her for a spin, Murph?
Richard.
Over its life,
Here's how they stacked up in front. Elliott first, Rader second, Kowicki, Allison, Wallace in the front 5. And they're the second 5. Mark Martin in 6, Waltrip to 7th, Harry Gant to 8th. Here's the leader, Bill Elliott, and we are working the 27th lap. In lap 27, there you see Bill Elliott, and here you find the interval between Elliott in the number 9 and the 25 car. Ken Schrader in second, followed by Kowicki third, Davey Allison fourth. The orange car in the back end of that train, that is Darrell Waltrip. Now in this skirmish being shown back to 8th.
Ken, this is the first time this year that we've seen Bill Elliott take the lead, green flag running, and stay out there. He might have led a couple of laps in some of the races, but to be the force that he's shown so far here this day, this is very definitely the strongest that he's run.
He's at the top of his form today. Don't forget, this in a sense is his car owner's home track, and there's a lot of pressure on there.
There's Petty right behind Ricky Rudd, who darts underneath last week's winner at Pocono, Terry Labonte. Ricky Rudd grabbing another spot, and here's Petty coming right with him. Richard, who had a very unsettling couple of days in getting ready for this event, and the car seems to have found its own way now. Spot there. Let's go to Dave Despain.
Kenny Schrader's team is part of the 3-car Rick Hendrick stable. They've got everything it takes to be a modern NASCAR outfit. They've got a team manager, a crew chief, abundant personnel, lots of race cars. They even have their own in-house public relations firm. And now they have one more component, perhaps a missing component. And let's take a look. This guy right down here joined the team after a terrible slump early in the season. That is Jake Elder. They call him Suitcase Jake. And the reason they call him that is because he never stays in one spot very long. You notice Jake's suitcase doesn't even contain the team uniform. But inside that head is a storehouse of chassis knowledge that this man has applied to this race car and has helped take it from a string of 20th or below starts to a string of top 10 or above starts. And today, the pole and a position to challenge here. Give Suitcase Jake part of the credit. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Dale Earnhardt started 6th and now running 13th, and each lap he's about 0.4 of a second slower than the leader. Richard Childress, any clue to the problem?
No, it just didn't turn into RPMs. We'll know if something's the matter with the engine or not. We just had to check it on the first stop.
Dale is not saying too much over the two-way radio. They keep sorting out tires. They say up in the booth he looks a little loose in the corners as well.
Yeah, he came on while ago and said he was a little bit loose in and a little too tight on. So, you know, we're just going to have to work on it that first stop and see if we can help him out. See what we do there.
Again, this is absolutely the best team in racing at chase and catch it, trying to find the right combination during the day.
31 laps now complete. They try to chase down this racetrack, and that's the toughest part of it. It is a chassis track, and that's why Jake Elder could be a real key player before this day is over for Dale Earnhardt.
He might have found his niche in racing now. He's a chassis consultant for Hendrick Motorsports. He has worked more with the Schrader team than any other, but he really has a lot to offer to any team, and now Hendrick has 3 teams, so Jake can spread his knowledge around.
All right, Ned, what language is he speaking down there, loose and tight?
Well, of course, when a car is tight, that means that the back end is sticking too well and the front end won't turn in the center of the corner. When it's loose, the back end wants to go around when you go into the turn.
Saw Jimmy Spencer back there in that 88 car in the 20th spot having his hands full for a while as he was battling with Morgan Shepherd. Good scramble for the back. Meanwhile, up in front, Elliott trying to give Ford their 4th win of this event. Mercury's had 7 wins. All 3 Ford wins were scored by Bill Elliott in 84, 85, and 86. Chevrolet interest, they've had 5 previous victories here, the last one in 87 with Earnhardt. Here's Alan Kowicki's view. Line 3rd.
Still hanging right there with him. He hasn't made much of an attempt to move around. He seems content to be sitting there. One thing that they're using that higher line, Chris, is the fact that they have all of that speedy dry down there from the oil that was put out by Jeff Bodine's car. And incidentally, Bodine is back on the track. He did lose a number of laps.
It's interesting to watch the styles of Elliott and Schrader. Elliott's career has been in this kind of a car on this kind of a track all his life, where Schrader races a variety of cars and a variety of tracks. He's willing to try something that Elliott wouldn't try. Schrader's racing tonight in Hauptstadt, Indiana. He's going to fly down there, and he says if he wins that $91,000, he's worried about the press attention. He might be late for qualifying in downstate Indiana.
Getting a look at the leaders. Front 7, front 8, about a second and a half apart. And Darrell Waltrip continuing to lie 8 among that group. He has a unique strategy when he drives the 2-mile oval here at Michigan.
This is a racetrack that I have to constantly tell myself to slow down and go faster. That may not make sense to you folks out there, but what that means is you have a tendency to overdrive here, to run the car in the corner too hard, to really just stay in the throttle and get the car all down in the corner, and then it won't turn and skates up the racetrack, and first thing you know, you got it pushing, you got it loose, and everybody's going by you. So you really have to keep that in the back of your mind all day long. Slow down, go faster. I learned that from a real pro, David Pearson.
We saw David Pearson looking on a few moments ago as his son Larry Pearson continues to close in the battle for the Rookie of the Year on Dick Trickle. And with Trickle's problems, it could turn that rookie battle around and put it in favor of Larry Pearson this afternoon.
David Pearson's really one of the great drivers who was master of this racetrack in his active days.
Has more wins here than any other driver in Winston Cup racing.
He sure did a job for Mercury. 72, 73, 75, 76, and give him to David Pearson, the Silver Fox.
And he hasn't spent a nickel of that prize money yet.
Now there are your leaders in 2. After 35 laps complete, Elliott keeps the Ford up in front. Schrader running right with him. Kowicki there, followed by Wallace, Davey Allison. In the second 5, Harry Gant, line 6. Mark Martin is in 7th. Darrell Waltrip is in 8th. Sterling Marlin is 9th. Rick Wilson is 10th. A little further back, Brett Bodine 11th. Lake Speed to 12th. Dale Earnhardt now 13th, and Derek Cope, having a very good run, is in 14th position with Hunt Strickland, that rookie in number 57. Donnie Allison's son-in-law in 15th. Ricky Rudd in 16th.
Rusty Wallace has started to show his hand. Now he's cracked that Ford chain there and is moving up. Now holding 4th place in that white number 27 Pontiac. We've got a Ford, a Chevrolet, a Ford, a Pontiac, and an Olds in the top 5 places.
37 laps are down to the 200 to be run here in CBS's live coverage of the 21st Annual Michigan 400. Stay with us.
Critical acclaim for our performance.
As seen from the Goodyear blimp hovering over the Michigan International Speedway, the Enterprise out of Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls, Captain Dick Esch from Sunrise, Florida. Look at this scramble. Here is Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott, the 9 and the 27 for the lead. This happening in lap 42.
Rudd is slowing down. Something has happened to his car.
Could be gas.
Could be. He should be able to go another 8 or 10 laps. Now it seems he might be back up to speed, but
Rusty Wallace for the lead in the main straightaway, and down to the bottom of the track comes Schrader. 3 wide for first place. And Chevrolet on the inside. Ford in the middle. Pontiac takes the lead.
And heavy traffic in front. Slower cars. This is going to be interesting.
When you get to heavy traffic, that's a place where Wallace really can show his strength.
Dale Earnhardt in the pit road.
Here's Mike Joy.
Dale Earnhardt is in for service, and most interestingly, what will they do to change the chassis of this car? Ricky Rudd's come around. He's going to make his pit stop after missing pit road the first time by. No chassis adjustment, no jacking on the screws that alter the weight on the car. Instead, they'll use tire stackers, change the diameter, circumference of the tires they put on that car to change its handling. Ricky Rudd completes his 1 lap late. He started 33rd, moved up to 15th, but this stop will cost him. Ken?
Well, Mike, both of those drivers went a lap down on that pit stop exchange. However, others will be coming in before too long.
I'm surprised only 84 miles are calling for gas. That's not very far in a 22-gallon tank.
No, it really isn't. I would have thought they would go 45 to 48 laps.
And some of them are stretching Waltrip and Martin for 51 laps today. Here you see the 27 car getting ready to pit. This will give Schrader the lead. We'll see some range out of him. 44 laps complete. Leader, Wallace, ducks on pit road. Here's Dave Despain.
Leading the parade onto pit road comes the leader, Rusty Wallace. He's had a first and second place finish in his last 2 outings on this racetrack, and this crew flies over the wall. Barry Dodson over on the far side of the crew overseeing a right side tire change, full fill of fuel, and he is back underway. 13.5-second pit stop. Great work for the Wallace crew as they send the leader back out, but it was an early pit stop. Raymond Beadle is the car owner. Raymond, did you have to bring him in a little early, and if so, why?
No, we didn't bring him in early. It was a routine stop. But cars aren't running real good. It was a little loose. We've straightened it up this time. We think we're in real good shape.
You happy with your fuel mileage? Happy with your mileage?
Yeah, so far, everything's okay.
Fuel is not usually an issue here. Rusty Wallace comes in early for his. They adjust the car, and he's back underway.
Kowicki, Elliott, Allison, Strickland, Parsons, Brett Bodine on pit road. Elliott's number 9 down to the very good pit stop.
13 and 2/10 seconds. That's remarkable.
Richard Petty pitting. Bobby Hillens in. Kowicki leaving the pits. Richard Petty on pit road. Number 30 coming in. Mike Waltrip. Here's Mike Joy.
Routine pit stops here, Ken. Adjustment of the chassis. A big 4-5 turns on the left rear of Mike Waltrip's car. Richard Petty's service is done. He has right side tires. That's what almost all these teams will take on under green. Engine man Ken Wilson drops that jack, and Mike takes off and almost brings the gas man with him.
Working lap 47. Schrader has stayed out. Dan has stayed in second. Mark Martin third. Darrell Waltrip fourth. Dale Jarrett just pitting. Let's take a look at the top 20 after 40 laps. Gant closing in here on Schrader. Remember that Gant had a win this season earlier at Darlington. He has looked strong throughout the preliminary period to this race at the Michigan International Speedway.
Despite Schrader's classy driving, he only has 1 victory to his credit last year at Talladega. And he's relying on that car to to get some great mileage, as is Harry Gant.
Working lap 48. Kyle Petty just pitting. Jimmy Spencer coming in on the pit road.
And evidently Schrader is about to come on pit road. He's slowing down to the inside of the racetrack.
And the Jackson Brothers car stays out. Lighting shown third. Eddie Bierschwell pitting. These are routine pit stops first time around. Several teams striving for 51 laps, so if it stayed green, they could make it on 3 fuel stops. We know that has been the Waltrip hope.
13.5 seconds in the pits for Schrader, not bad.
That's the case with Mark Martin.
The pit crew is ready for Harry Gant. They're standing down on pit road. Let's see if he does come in. Yes, he does. Here he comes off of turn 4, and Mike Joy will be standing by in his pits. Mike?
For Harry Gant, and he's going to get excellent fuel mileage here. 50 miles on this first tank, and gentlemen, just as you theorized, that means a 3-stop race. Gant brings the Leo Jackson engineered car in. Haas Berry on gas. Ricky Mears has that catch can. They're changing right side tires. Andy Petrie, the crew chief, changing the right. Billy Abernathy there on the tire. Charlie Presley has the jack. When he drops it, it's time to go. Second can of gas. They want it all. Travis Carter saying drop it, or rather Leo Jackson drop it, and they get him out of here. Dave Despain.
In the pits of Kenny Schrader, Dennis Conner, the crew chief, pit stop routine. Satisfied with it?
Yeah, it was just a routine stop. We got right side tires and fuel. We could probably run a little bit further, but this stage of the game, you don't run a risk and run too far.
It looked like you packed an awful lot of gas in there. Is mileage going to be an issue here today?
As a general rule, mileage is a key factor here because there's very seldom any cautions, so you have to go as far as you can and plan your strategy right, and more often than not, fuel economy will give you a good finish here.
That's Dennis Conner, crew chief for the 25 car of Kenny Schrader.
Waltrip on pit road. Away quickly. Great stop, Chris.
But unfortunately, Harry Gant's stop was about 3.5 seconds longer than it should have been. The other top drivers were all getting in at 13 and a fraction. And Waltrip is going back out on the track after a 13.27-second stop. Now that's pit work.
Now we see him straddling that yellow line and staying below it. They were told in the drivers' meeting to do that, and he did. Stayed there until he ran to the end of the yellow line. Now he can blend into the traffic on the backstretch.
So the leaders have pitted, with the exception of 15. I don't think we've seen Brett Bodine in here, have we?
Or Rick Wilson, I don't believe. They're showing them as the leaders right now. Rick Wilson being shown as the leader in car number 4, and Brett Bodine being shown as second place.
Here's Mike Joy.
Well, Darrell Waltrip, the gas mileage king again, Jeff Hammond, and you guys had an exceptional fast stop. You're looking over these tires. What do they tell you?
Well, Mike, right off the bat, I was just looking to see how they were wearing, whether or not maybe they had any kind of like heat spots in them where maybe it's indicating potential trouble. But the tires came off looking immaculate. Darrell said the car felt good. So, everything seemed like it's really in good shape right now.
You guys had a fast stop, really fast.
Yeah, the guys really did a good job. J.R. hustled in good, and he hustled back out. Now we just got to keep it up all days.
Now, Harry Gant had a longer stop to make sure he got all his gas to make this a 3-pit stop race. Did you get it all?
I think we got her full according to, watching Mike Powell on the gas. Everything was looking good, so he nodded and I let him go.
Okay, Jeff Hammond, crew chief for Darrell Waltrip.
When we had that early caution, Rick Wilson was one of 4 cars that pulled in and topped the tank. I believe Brett Bodine may have been one of the others.
Well, I believe they have made their pit stops, and there were so many making pit stops there a moment ago, and I believe they did make a pit stop. They were shown on the leaderboard at the track here as being in first and second, but I don't think that was the case.
And NASCAR had them there as well. Now we're seeing 17. Earnhardt being posted back up in front. Earnhardt for first. They have Lake Speed for the moment in second, and he just pitted. We'll be back with more from Michigan in a moment.
Die Hard, America's most trusted replacement battery. The one over 65 million have stepped up to. Now Sears introduces the most powerful Die Hard battery ever. New Die Hard, more power when you need it most.
It's fueled the victories of Super Bowl champions and Sandlot superstars. It's as welcome on a hot cinder track as a cold sheet of ice. It is unsurpassed at supplying fluids, minerals, and energy. It goes beyond refreshment. It produces results. It's everywhere athletes compete. It's sports. It's Gatorade.
Hey, where did you learn about computers?
In the Army.
You were in the Army, too?
Qualify for the GI Bill and the Army College Fund, and you can earn over $25,000 for college.
What you do in the Army?
Airborne.
You used to jump out of airplanes?
From Rocky Mountain snow to Florida.
Story is sponsored by Quaker State Motor Oil, where the big Q stands for quality. With 100 miles down, 5 different leaders. Lead changes 8. The average speed after just one caution, 152 miles an hour, and only 2 of the 40 that started have retired. Combs is out in the number 89 car, the Miller car, and Greg Sachs in that new car of his, the number 48, has gone by the wayside. But Jerry and Tim Miller's car, Herb Miller, their dad, watching today, he had problems early and are out of the race. After 55 laps, the defending champion of this event, Rusty Wallace, put the Pontiac back up in front with Bill Elliott in second. And there's a good skirmish continuing for third with Davey Allison, Schrader there, Harry Gandis in fifth, Darrell Waltrip currently in sixth. Eddie Bierswell about to go a lap down, carrying the Mullen colors. Word is that team is in bad financial straits, that number 23 team.
In fact, they plan to run just a limited schedule for the balance of the season unless they do pick up full-time sponsorship.
The top 5 drivers flashed across the start-finish line last time by in 3 2/10 seconds, so this is still a very tight automobile race.
This is third and fourth we see right here. Kenny Schrader in the car number 25 running in third place, and Davey Allison trying to take it away from him as he comes down on the inside, Ken.
And they've been moving back and forth the last 3 or 4 laps. They've swapped that position a few times. Here they come to the start-finish line on this D-shaped 2-mile Michigan International Speedway. Chevrolet, the maroon car on the outside, Schrader. The black, white, gold colors on the inside, Davey Allison. Good scrap. Davey victorious at Talladega earlier this season, where will be for the Die Hard 500 on Sunday, July the 30th. Hope you'll be with us at 1 o'clock Eastern. Rusty Wallace, last year's champion, won here at Michigan, and we asked him his impressions of this track.
It's a real smooth racetrack. It's real wide. It's easy to pass on, but it's hard to get a handle on because it's got a lot of corner to it. And if you're off a little bit on the chassis, you're off a lot because there's so much corner. Good pit stops and good handling. That's about what it takes.
That's what he's had so far, Chris.
It's been a great race so far. The track is giving us a great show here. I wonder what it's like for the drivers. How much work is being done on the chassis when they get into the pits. Richard Petty, I always remember over the years, a perfectionist. Every pit stop Richard Petty ever made, they did something to the chassis a little bit, tweak it, till it got just right for him towards the end of the race.
Of course, one way that they can change the chassis today without putting those wrenches on it is by changing the stagger of the tires. And many of them will do that if the car's not handling too well. A little bit hazy here today. I don't think the temperature is up quite as high as it was yesterday when it was up near 90.
It's interesting that when they make those adjustments, what's the guarantee that they're the right ones? Now, here we have Schrader, who was so good before that pit stop, and he can't seem to stay with Rusty Wallace now, who's got the outstanding car after his stop.
Well, there are no guarantees because sometimes when they put new tires on there, one tire will grow a little bit more than another one, and that will change the stagger and, of course, change the handling characteristics of the car.
About to lap Phil Parsons is the leader. Rusty Wallace, he finds him way up on the outside, and he had to get in the binders a little there. Coming to the line, Rusty Wallace looking for some room. Bill Elliott lying about 15 car lengths back. Schrader qualified at a new record for this event, 174.7 miles an hour. It's been green since the early going. Had one short caution to Jet Bodine. Had some problems and laid fluid down in turns 1 and 2. Butch Miller's number 51 going a lap down as Wallace continues his assault. Spain, what's all that about?
The Winston Cup is the symbol of stock car supremacy. It's in Bill Elliott's pit, but this isn't it. What is an Emmy, the symbol of television excellence, doing here? Well, the answer is local television station in Bill's neck of the woods in Georgia won this for a special on the other big sport in Georgia, Bulldog football. They brought it to Bill today as a good luck charm because their next project is a special on Winston Cup racing. We hope they win another Emmy for it.
Certainly got a good candidate with Bill Elliott. Out of Dawsonville, Georgia, he's in second spot. Broke his wrist in the first race of the year, Daytona Beach. Struggling back and trying to win here where he took 3 in a row. Right there, number 9, 84, 85, 86. Wallace finds number 75, Morgan Shepherd, up in his line for a moment. Bodine running slowly on the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2.
He's just going out of the pits. This would have been a scheduled pit stop for him. He, of course, is a number of laps down, but he was just going out of the pits.
Fifth, Waltrip 6, Kowicki 7th, Mark Martin is 8th, Sterling Marlin lying 9th, Rick Wilson is 10th, Brett Bodine 11th, Dale Earnhardt is shown as 12th. We'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this word from your local station.
Michael Moorer, 15 wins, all by knockout. Leslie Stewart, former WBA champ. Their battle for the WBO light heavyweight title live today on CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
At a workspace or storage place, get your car in out of the rain.
True Built Garage Builders. Custom designs, the finest lumber and expert workmen. Attached or detached, no one can build you a better garage than True Built. Don't wait. Give True Built Garage Builders a call today. And before you know it, you'll have the garage you always wanted.
True Built Garage Builders. Not just a name, it's the way we build. It's True Built.
Wayne TV recommends caution when watching Randy Schiffman's sportscast. They've been known to cause racing hearts.
A sports special, the Michigan 400, is sponsored by AC Delco. Automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. Kodacolor Gold Film, show your true colors. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will.
With 65 of 200 laps complete in our live coverage from Michigan International Speedway, Rusty Wallace is in front, but not by much, over Bill Elliott in second, Davey Allison third, Ken Schrader, the pole sitter, back to fourth. And as you take a look through 6 through 10, Rick Wilson breaks his Oldsmobile back into the top 10 once again. On the racetrack, pretty good struggle going on up in front for the moment. Challenging Bill Elliott, had pulled him within a length and a half of Rusty Wallace and then slipped away. Here's Dale Jarrett about to go a lap down to Wallace. Meanwhile, further back behind Darrell Waltrip, you see Kowicki and Martin continuing their struggle here.
It's interesting, Ken, those Fords were up front earlier in the race. Now they're back trying to stay in the top 10.
Waltrip in 6th, Kowicki is 7th, Mark Martin is in 8th. Kowicki behind Waltrip, looking back and forth here.
Well, they have plenty of running room. You can't see anybody out in front of Waltrip there, so he pretty well has the racetrack to himself, excepting the car on his rear bumper.
Coming by to complete 70 laps. Sounds like he's using up all that gear. Alan Kowicki had a water leak this morning. They had the whole front off the engine. They were trying to find it. They were very concerned. Right now, things look like they're going pretty well for him. On a day as warm as this, as you watch that draft, that's the one thing you don't want to do is stay in that line too long, or you can really overheat them. Let's go to Mike Joy.
And since the performance was improved on the very first automobile, it's been Ford versus Chevrolet on the super speedways, on the straight line drag strips. But there's a bigger battle being waged here today, right out here in the parking lot. This is Ford's new Thunderbird Super Coupe. Since this racetrack started in this event, Mercury's have won 7 times at Ford, 3 times for 10. Chevys have won half as many 5 times. That's more than all other makes combined. Ford, Pontiac, and Chevrolet all had dealer driveaways here from the infield, each with 50 or 100 of NASCAR look-alike cars like this one. It's an either bigger event, and the byline, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. It's mostly a Ford-Chevy struggle, but there are some spoilers in the mix. Here's Dave Despain.
Over the years here, Mike, the spoilers have not fared very well. Buick has won 2 races. Pontiac, Olds, each winning 1 race. And one of those Pontiac victories went to Rusty Wallace. All the other contenders, combined, we should say, have only won as many races as Chevy. But Rusty Wallace is the guy who gave Pontiac that victory. And when I asked Barry Dodson yesterday if they were going to race the Fords and the Chevys, who they were going to race the hardest, he said, man, we race everything out there with wheels, everything that'll move.
Moving right along now, it's Kowicki and Martin. They moved around Darrell Waltrip. That battle back in 6 continues to be intense. Rusty Wallace trying to get Pontiac 2 in a row.
Waltrip plays his stock car racing like basketball teams. It's only the last few minutes, or a few laps, I should say, that means something to Darrell Waltrip. This business of getting mileage and having crackerjack pit work, he's not going to really get going until the last 40 laps.
Kowicki is now in 6, and you're looking out the back of his car at Mark Martin in 7th. Waltrip back to 8th. Waltrip driving the race that he usually drives, patient, waiting for that finish, not doing anything too dramatic here. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt in number 3. Has he changed his driving style, Ned? Here he is lying 12th. Remember where he always was the Charger? Is that a different Earnhardt we're seeing now?
I don't know. He might be a little more conservative, but if his car was capable of running up front, we would see him running up front. I don't think, Richard Childress said a little bit earlier that Earnhardt said the engine wasn't running as good as he would like to see it, and I think that it's more the car today than it is Earnhardt.
I think Earnhardt's adopting the Waltrip style to some extent. Harry Gant obviously is. Waltrip has been so successful with a different style of driving. The smart fellows are taking a hard look at how he goes about it.
Here you see Ricky Rudd trying to go underneath Earnhardt as they continue their struggle further back in 12th position, and just in front of them is Brett Bodine in the Bud Moore car. Yesterday we sent Ned Jarrett out to the garage area to find out what role intimidation plays in this form of racing, and if there is any one man who can be called racing's Terminator. We found one name kept popping up.
Everybody races hard now, and it's, everybody's got it more aggressive in what they were because of the sponsors and the money and the pressure to win. And if you can intimidate somebody, you try to, and they are intimidators.
Well, I guess that's like, someone like Dale, I guess, would have to be in that category for sure.
Earnhardt would have to have the reputation for being the intimidator.
Probably the biggest one, I guess, would be Earnhardt.
Yes, Earnhart would be an intimidator.
Dale Earnhardt's right at the end of the class.
Dale Earnhardt.
I reckon, off the top of my head, Earnhardt.
Earnhardt.
People like Earnhardt.
Okay, now, most of them have said when we asked the question that Dale Earnhardt, his name has been mentioned as the top intimidator. Your reaction?
Well, that's great. I hope I can intimidate some more. It makes it easier to do my job when I get up racing with them. If they're a little intimidated by me, maybe they'll give a little more.
The man in black certainly has 12 guys up in front of him. He needs to think that very much right now.
Starting this morning, he's telling everybody else that they're not eating properly.
Become a dietitian.
Right, exactly.
He's got a lot of expanse to cover here if he wants to get back up in the front of this one. Here he is back with Rudd.
And Rudd is not one of those drivers that can be intimidated too easily, Ken. He's pretty tough out there himself.
Blake Speed is in 14th. Petty Richard is in 15th, and Kyle is lying 16th behind these two gentlemen, Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd. Ricky, who came out of that great victory at Sears Point, California, here in the San Francisco countryside. North of San Francisco a couple weeks back, and they came all the way across the country to Pocono, Pennsylvania, where Terry Labonte was victorious last week. Here we are in Michigan, and the struggle continues. Dandy fight going on here today as Rusty Wallace strives to give Pontiac another win. 2 in a row in this 400. This is the largest crowd that we have witnessed in the 21 years we've come to follow this event at Michigan International Speedway. I must say one thing, as we look at this crowd, and particularly at the infield here today, I've never seen anything like it, and I must give credit to this racetrack. You can come here a week ago yesterday and stay all week for $15. Get yourself into the infield. That's for the vehicle. That's another $15 for the ticket. So for 65, 70 bucks and kids free, and it's worked. And people come and spend a week, and they do a lot of other activities, and then make the highlight of their stay in the Irish Hills of Michigan this beautiful racing facility on this Sunday afternoon.
You know, there's not many hotel rooms in the area, so this is motorhome paradise.
And they're having a grand time. There was over 40,000 here yesterday for qualifying. Marvelous crowd, and it was just for qualifying, no race here. Done a super job with this facility, and that crowd waiting to get in the infield last night at 4:30. There's a story unto itself.
And a brand new grandstand seating 3,000 is full this time around.
300 tickets sell this morning, went in 20 minutes. Here's Mike Joy.
Ken, let's update on the Ricky Rudd pit stop. He did go one lap too long, and it cost him position on the racetrack. However, he did not miss the pit. There was a very slow car in turn number 3 that looked like it wouldn't make it around. Rudd thought the caution might come out, and if it did, pit road would be closed. So he stayed on the track an extra lap at fairly slow speed. The track stayed under green. The slow car got out of the way, and it cost him track position. But he had come from 33rd on the grid to 16th in the race, challenging for 15th when he made that first stop. And I think he can get caught back up, and we'll see him back up in the front pack before the day's over.
Butch Miller just retired, car number 51. He has gone back to the garage area as we continue to watch Earnhardt in his encounter with Ricky Rudd. Battle for 12th. 75 laps complete of 200 to be run. Only one caution came early for Bodine. Other than that, it's been green flag all the way. There's the leader. Wallace in the 27, the white car, and then there is a lap car, Kyle Petty, followed by the second place car, number 9, Bill Elliott. Elliott line second. What makes a race special? Well, as Chris Economaki reports, it's more than cars and drivers and crews, it's the fans. And so Chris spent some time yesterday talking to some folks and debunking some myths.
Fronting the raceway is a bazaar, catering to the diverse group of fans the race attracts. A cornucopia of trinkets can be purchased here. Stock car racing is taking hold north of the Mason-Dixon line. With over 200 races telecast annually and 350 corporations as motorsport sponsors, those numbers help explain why the fans' affection flies in the face of old line thinking. A lot of people think racing's a southern sport. You agree with that?
No, I think everybody enjoys it. You can tell that just by the big crowds that are coming.
What attracted you to stock car racing in the first place?
Oh, the thrill, the excitement, the idea that you could pick a driver and watch him race around the track. It's a little bit more interesting than horse racing, I think.
What is it that really brings you here?
Good times, having a good time with your friends and going seeing races.
Do you have a favorite driver?
Sure, Harry Gant.
From the looks of your T-shirt, you're a sports fan. How does racing rank in your list of things to do?
It's great. It's great.
Have you been a stock car fan long?
Yep, we come out here every year.
What do you like best about it?
I like the people, I like the cars, I like the drivers. It's a ride, it's fun.
What don't you care for about it?
There's nothing I don't care for about it. I love it.
Does it matter to you who wins and who loses?
Well, just as long as it's a safe race, but yeah, I got a favorite.
Who are you rooting for?
Rusty Wallace.
And what does it cost you for a round-trip weekend here?
I guess it's probably $100
Worth it?
Every penny of it.
What do you spend on a race weekend?
I don't think I want to know.
Who do you think will win today?
Bill Elliott.
Who do you think will win today?
Richard Petty.
Once inside in their costly seats, the fans strain for a look at their heroes. It reinforces the old adage, racing gets into your blood. Is it worth it watching stock cars as you undergo this kind of heat?
I love stock cars. It's the only thing there is.
You look like you know what you're doing. How long have you followed racing?
Well, a year or two.
Who's your favorite?
Dale Earnhardt. I mean, Bobby Allison, then a Dale Earnhardt.
Might you want to be a race driver when you get a driving license?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't want to be one, because it's too dangerous.
Yeah, you a race fan?
Yeah.
Do you mind your husband coming to these things?
No, as long as he takes me along.
How long have you been married?
2 months.
And so, as you can plainly see, the stock car fan comes from all points of the compass and in all sizes and shapes. And across the broad spectrum of sport, it's the stock car fan who knows his or her sport the very best. Who is the best? Well, Who was your favorite TV racecaster?
Ned Sherrod.
Ned Sherrod. And who's your second favorite TV racecaster?
Ken Squire.
Kids. What do they know?
That must have been a hard piece to do, Chris.
Hard piece to watch.
Back to the line, we're watching Richard Petty. And Dale Earnhardt is pitting on the racetrack. Richard Petty fighting with Lake Speed for 14th position. Here's Dale Earnhardt in for a pit stop.
Yeah, I think this will be a scheduled pit stop. How about it, Mike Joy?
Left side tires this time, since we're still under green. They got right sides the first time, left side now. And again, the Childress team will use stagger to adjust Earnhardt's handling. And I think they're in just a little bit early to run the distance if we stay green the rest of the way.
However, Mike, Kowicki has just pitted as well. Alan Kowicki just entered the pits. Here you are with him.
Yeah, some of the drivers came in after about 40 laps. Ricky Rudd is coming into the pits right now a little bit earlier. We're at lap 85 now, so this would be a pit schedule stop.
It looks like Venturini's car out of Chicago, Illinois. That's Bill Venturini, the 87 ARCA champion. Remember he had that terrible crash at Talladega, Alabama? Also was the champion that year. Bill Venturini in trouble here today.
Tough break for a couple of drivers who had just made pit stops. Alan Kowicki went a lap down.
First Winston Cup race for Venturini, and here it ends. Brings out a full caution, second one of the day. This at lap 86, and couldn't come at a more fortuitous time for everybody out here, with the exception of Earnhardt and Kowicki, who just dove in. Pits are closed, as you see here. The red flag with the yellow stripes saying you've got to circulate around here or pay the penalty if you come onto pit road at this time, with the exception of a car that might be in trouble, right, Ned?
And if a car is in trouble, they can come in, but they would then be relegated to the rear of the field on the restart. That would be their penalty.
The other guy wants to have a word here.
Well, no, I was just talking about Bill Venturini. He's had a tough go. He got a lot of headlines with an all-girl pit crew that was quite efficient in ARCA racing, and it's tough to see him with the ambulance pulling alongside over there.
Pits are open. Here comes the entire field down pit road. Everybody's in. Everybody's busy. Here's Mike.
Davey Allison getting right side tires. They took on rights during the green flag pit stop. So did Rusty Wallace's crew and Mark Martin's. They're all looking at right sides and a full tank of fuel. They were going to have to come in within the next 5 to 10 laps anyway, so this won't throw them off pit stop sequence too much.
There are 5 cars on the racetrack. All others are on pit road.
Easy way to pick up 5 points. For some folks, if you lead a lap, you collect 5 bonus points under the Winston Cup system. Maybe we get a look here what happened to Bill Venturini.
Okay, that's the car inside the circle as it goes into turn 1. Looks like he enters the turn pretty well. Ooh. And then the car gets loose all of a sudden. It just veers into the outside wall. It looks like the back end broke loose just a little bit, and then he corrected it and just went straight in the wall.
Looks like your old dirt track scrape where you go in, you correct, you try to get it back, and then he hit hard.
You can see the damage to the right front of his car. Bill trying to make his way into Winston Cup racing. This is his first ever Winston Cup run.
He's been here one other time. He ran a USAC race back here in the late 70s. Bill Venturini.
Chicago boy. Yeah, very popular up there.
See him at that boys club outing each year. Big supporter of the Chicago Boys Club, the Lathrop Center over there in Chicago.
Well, we hope
Let's hope he's all right.
Okay.
We'll be back with more from the Michigan International Speedway in a moment. Working on the Bill Venturini car after a hard crash into the outside retaining wall here at the Michigan International Speedway. Let's take a look at the leaders after 80 laps. Here they're running in the top 25 positions here on the track. Safety crew still administering to Bill Venturini from Chicago. Talked to him this morning. He was so optimistic about this race. He'd had a few problems yesterday. He said, we've got him licked. He said, I really think I'm going to have a good afternoon. Still working to get Venturini from the car, and they're taking plenty of time with that.
And We see Richard Petty out here in car number 43. Richard having a good run here today.
10th.
Yeah.
Up in 10th at the present time. Richard Petty has had more of his share of problems in 1989. Ned Jarrett caught up with the King and asked him if racing is still fun and what's in store for the future.
Richard, is this still fun to you?
That's what my wife asks a whole lot. Some of it is fun, Ned. It's just like always, win, lose, or draw. You have good days and bad days, and the driving the car, yeah, is still fun. I still really enjoy driving the race car. Now, some of the stuff that builds up to it and some of the bad luck and stuff you have, then that's not too much fun. But the overall deal, I guess, of driving the car overshadows all the rest of the stuff, and I still enjoy that part of it.
And you feel that you still are as good at it as ever?
Well, I won't say that too much. I still feel like I can do the job, and I still feel like with an even break, then I don't worry about who I'm having to race with. We've been in a situation where that, I'm running the show, and I hadn't had them to have good enough equipment from time to time and stuff like that, so that's my fault. I feel like I say, if I had an even car with somebody else, and I'm like all the rest of the drivers, I feel like I can go as good as anybody. So really, I guess that's what we're working on right now is get a good car and have some good luck to go along with it. Then I'll find out then if I can still drive the car.
You sort of got away for a little while from the absolute basics with the new chassis concept. Did that take away from your operation?
That's took away, and we're still working on it, Ned. One of these days we'll hit it, and when we do, then we'll be in pretty good shape. But all through the years and stuff, we've never really run what everybody else run. We've always tried to stay one jump ahead of them, and the last couple of jumps I missed and went the other way and hadn't been able to get back on the right track. But I feel like we have to sort of stay up with what's going on, and again, we're still working with a lot of new stuff, and if we'll get it settled out, we'll be all right.
Last of a breed, Richard Petty, here for that very first race when it was 600 miles, and the only other driver in this field that was here was
Dave Marcus. Next week will mark the 5th anniversary of his last victory. Great spirit Petty has. Never say die.
Bill Venturini, car number 35 at turn number 2 of the Michigan International Speedway. He's a very large guy, and they're asking for the jaws of life to cut him out of that car at the present time.
36 years old, a nice guy. His wife is his car owner and biggest supporter, and is down in the pits overseeing the operation.
He's down there in the pits this morning working hard to get this car ready for him to get out here and go for it. We'll be back with more at Michigan International Speedway, live here on CBS in a moment.
There's a motor oil that advertises world-class protection. Impressive. But Valvoline is recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. The other motor oil is not. Whatever you drive, Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any car manufacturer. Around the world, people who know use Valvoline.
A legend has been created. A better battery for the future. Better with more reserve power. Better with a warranty that lasts over 6 years. Better with savings of at least $16, including a $10 rebate. The legend from Napa. A better battery.
One leader in light trucks today. That's Ford. Ford leads in the important advantages that Chevy can't talk about. In standard 6-cylinder engines, Ford beats Chevy in torque power, and nobody beats Ford's V8s in low pulling horsepower. Powerful reasons like this make Ford the leader with the most repeat buyers of any light truck line. See your dealer now for special savings on select 89 Ford F-Series trucks.
I wasn't sure where to get my muffler fixed.
At Midas, we stock more mufflers than anyone.
Everyone promised low prices.
Midas prices take the sting out of muffler repair costs.
The difference was Midas.
Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
The day of the road! is come.
A hardcore gang of hate-mongers takes terror to the streets. An all-new episode, The Equalizer, Thursday.
Under caution, the second time today at Michigan International Speedway. And after a pit stop, take on fuel and tires, Rusty Wallace has come out in first with Davey Allison second, Elliott third, pole sitter Schrader in fourth, and Darrell Waltrip now comes to fifth. Followed by Mark Martin in sixth, Rick Wilson's Olds in seventh, Brett Bodine's Bud Moore Ford in eighth, Richard Petty now ninth, and Derek Cope out of Spanaway, Washington is showing in the 10th position. Just behind him, Lake Speed is coming in 11th, Sterling Marlin 12th, Dave Marcus 13th, Alan Kowicki 14th. Here you see the car that has brought out the caution. They continue to work down here on the Venturini car in turn 2. And let's look again, Ned, at what brought about this caution. It happened in the 86th lap.
Okay, this is the car we see in the circle as he approaches turn number 1, gets into the turn well, and then all of a sudden the back end veers out and he tries to correct it and slams into the wall hard with the right front.
We've seen that same thing happen many times here. That corner can fool you. You can dive in there and think you're making up ground, and all of a sudden it's out from underneath you.
Baldwin, qualifying 2 years ago, did exactly that, and unfortunately he's still unconscious.
Darrell Waltrip said that it's very easy to overdrive this track. It is. It looks so wide and so nice and smooth as you go in there. And if you go in and maybe hit a little bit of a slick spot or something, and maybe Venturini did. The back end might have hit something and caused it to go out. He overcorrected and into the wall he went.
Kenny Schrader was telling me yesterday, he said, you'll be driving along and go into that first turn, and he says, it's just like someone has a garden hose out there and sprays the corner. And he said, you just don't expect it. And he said, you can drive 4 or 5 laps, and it changes as the track warms up, as you pointed out at the open. Here's Mike Joy.
A minute ago, I spoke to Kathy Venturini. She's not only Bill's wife, but also the crew chief and car owner, one of the other crew members walking in now. She said that when the incident happened, the radio communication went out, and she has not heard her talk with Bill, and was unable to give us any further details other than what you folks have seen on the monitor and we've been able to pass along. You know what a difficult sport this is. It has just tremendous charges of energy, such as when Bill won the ARCA championship and his many victories. And then there's the other side of it, such as we see today. And now we're reported that he is out of the car, and certainly that is good news. Back upstairs.
Be taken to the ambulance for a check at the infield hospital here, and then be sure to be taken to another medical center nearby.
Now look over the lineup, Ken. There's 6 drivers in their 20s, 8 drivers in their 40s, 2 drivers in their 50s, and 24 drivers in their 30s in the field. And the youngsters are showing the way here.
Yeah, they really are. Looking down through there, Harry Gant is not exactly a youngster, Chris. He's not as old as you are, but he's been around there for a while. We'll be back in a moment.
For some, it's life. Racing is in the blood. To win, all parts must work to perfection. The Motorcraft World Champions win with the same Motorcraft parts you can buy for your car. Motorcraft quality parts from Ford.
Jeep Racing Team, the winningest team in off-road racing, goes nowhere without Craftsman tools. From their durable precision power tools to hand tools that are guaranteed forever. So, make sure it's a Craftsman, because you don't want to get stuck with anything else.
Somewhere there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cured my athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Miconazole. There's nothing more powerful.
Hey!
I'm giving away advice, not Micatin.
Say, what you got for my athlete's foot?
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cures athlete's foot. There's even a deodorant Micatin.
Then I'll take the Micatin. To go.
Step up to the cure. Step up to the mic. Micatin. Look for new economy size powder.
From dawn's early light till the sun is set. Quaker State engine's gonna win to quit.
Quaker State exceeds every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
That's why in Atlanta, Georgia, the engine in every fire truck, every police car, every Atlanta city-owned vehicle is a Quaker State engine. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
This Michigan 400 race summary is sponsored by Quaker State Motor Oil, where the big Q stands for quality. After 182 miles, 5 different drivers taking a crack at first place, swapping the lead 8 times, averaging 144 miles per hour. And that average speed dissipates quickly here as we're taking several laps since lap 87, now up to working the 93 with the yellow flag out. 4 cars out of the race, the latest, the Venturini car. He's been taken to the infield medical center here at the Michigan International Speedway just moments ago. We hope to give you an update. There are the remains of the Venturini car where it slapped into the wall. On the right side, you can see where they cut the roof away to take him out of the machine. We'll try to get you an update as soon as possible.
And as we mentioned, Ken, he's a very big guy, and that might be the reason that they had to cut that away so that they could get him out.
Took plenty of time. I'm sure they could do as much for them as they possibly can when they get in trouble like that. Here's Dave Despain.
Dale Earnhardt's crew here commiserating over the bad luck that they have had. They got caught on that pit stop. They had just made their stop, and then unfortunately the incident, and they have lost a lap as a result of it. Richard Childress, you're having problems with the car anyway. Were you able to do any good here during this stop to get him a little better?
No, not really. You know, we hadn't really put our finger on what it is. The engine just didn't pull in the RPMs. We don't know if it's because it's real tight off the corner or what.
Everybody else has had their bad luck over the last 2 weeks. While you guys were running 4th and 3rd, Rusty and Darrell were having problems. Is this your turn at the bad luck wheel?
Well, let's hope it don't come in turns. But, you know, it's just been one of them days. You know, a while ago, Dale said the car was pushing and then loose and wouldn't run. So I said, what else could happen? Then we ran out of gas. So, you know, you just got to fight those days and come back next week, which we ain't gave up on today yet, though.
They never give up. That's been the hallmark of this team. That's what has won them the championship. The key point here is that over the last 2 weeks, this team was able to build a huge lead due to misfortune of others. Now it appears the wheel has indeed come around and bitten the Childress team for today, at least, though they haven't given up. Kent?
Richard Childress hasn't given up in years. Back in the old days of Grand American, the Michigan 400 master, Dale Earnhardt.
Got a pretty good record here.
Yeah. Look at that, laps complete. The report is that Venturini is in the ambulance and is conscious.
Well, that's good news.
That's good news.
Back to Dale Earnhardt. He's got a 190-point lead over Rusty Wallace, and he could go home now and still be leading in the point standings when this race is over, even if Wallace wins it.
Sure, but then July 1st, he's got the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. And then he's got the AC Sparkplug 500 in Pocono and our die-hard 500 Talladega July 30th, live flag-to-flag coverage here on CBS. There are the standings. 1 lap, they're going to turn them loose. 1 lap to green. Earnhardt out in front. Look at Mark Martin back there in 4th spot.
Late pit stop for Ken Schrader.
Probably just to tap off the fuel tank because they've run a number of laps here under caution.
Ricky Rudd is doing the same thing, as is Dale Jarrett, Phil Parsons, Lake Speed, all diving into the pits before we get back down to a green flag condition. They'll have completed 95 when the green comes back out. There's the activity on pit road. Dave Marcus pulling out. You see him right here, number 71. Rolling down pit road and getting back into this race. Jimmy Means coming by, number 52. 40 cars started, 36 still remain with Alan Kowicki. This is the picture as we get set for a restart. Coming down the line. Back straightaway out of turn 2. Rusty Wallace up in front, Davey Allison in second, Bill Elliott third, Ken Schrader fourth, Gant is fifth, Waltrip sixth, Mark Martin seventh, Rick Wilson showing eighth, Brett Bodine ninth, Richard Petty showing 10th, Cope 11th, Lake Speed 12th. And down a lap is Alan Kowicki in the 7 cars. You see him on the inside.
Of course, he was in the pits when this caution came out for a green flag pit stop. And also now Schrader, of course, has gone back. He'll be about 14th, the last car in the lead lap. He was the only one, Ken, of the top 10 cars that came in to top off his fuel here as they're about to get the green flag.
That's interesting. Schrader's now back at the pack, and all that traffic in front of him, he's going to have to do some driving.
Hey, and remember, there's $10,000 up here for the leader at halfway, Chris. We could have quite a gang war coming down here.
He said the other day that he drove just as hard for a $500 winning show the other night. Imagine the guy that's going to sign the $91,000 check. And he could have saved $91,000. Give him $500.
95 complete. 5 to halfway. 5 to halfway. 14 cars net lead lap. And immediately on the shakeout, Wallace points that Pontiac 3-4 car lengths in front of the field.
And Davey Allison has gradually been moving up, Ken. He has moved up to second after this round of pit stops. He was third before them. But look at Schrader coming up through the back.
He's got the trickle on the inside.
Now we'll find out what those adjustments have done to the cars. Which
into the wall goes Sterling Marlin. He picks it up.
But you wonder how much damage he might have done, and he's slowing down.
He's done some.
Yeah, he's done some damage. That car's not driving as well as it was. He just got a little high in that turn in that big pack of traffic and got into the wall.
And there's debris on the track from the car. I saw it flying off the car.
Still no sign of caution.
And Sterling Marlin was one of those drivers that I said at the top of the show might have a good shot, a long shot of winning this race today, but unfortunately he's into the wall and some damage to his car.
Wallace out in front. 7-8 car length interval. Back to Davey Allison in second.
Let's take a look at it again and see just what did happen. You can see he's already sideways up there. He tried to pull it off. He evidently got into the loose stuff up there. Morgan Shepherd was right in front of him. The car broke loose. The back end did. The back end got into the wall with him.
From another angle, let's see. There's Morgan. He's already loose. Morgan was lucky not to get collected on that one, or several cars down a little further.
Yeah, they were scrambling back there.
There's a piece of metal down on the track. That's just out of turn 4. Here comes the field pounding down into 3 once again. Wallace in first. Allison right there. Kowicki trying to get a lap back. Look at this assault. You can see a piece of debris. I think they're notified. They've got spotters all around the track net.
Well, yes, but apparently they have not been able to see it yet.
Mark Martin going into 4th.
Wicked piece of metal.
A piece of trim. That can cut a tire in a hurry. Wallace, as we come toward the halfway mark.
Sterling Marlin coming off of the wall, and let's see, there's that piece of metal that we have been seeing on the track as it flew off the car.
No caution. 99 complete, 1 lap to go to halfway. Wallace first, Allison second, Elliott third, Mark Martin 4th, Gann 5th, Rick Wilson 6th. Safety man getting that piece of metal and getting it out of there.
Yep, it was down on the inside of the track, out of the racing groove, so NASCAR apparently felt that there was no danger to the cars running full speed.
Headed for 10 grand, Wallace. $10,000 lying here for Rusty Wallace. He can tickle that 4th turn, keep that advantage. Comes out gingerly right up to the wall. Halfway is down. Elliott in 4th, Mark Martin followed by Harry Gant. Here's Dave Despay.
Darrell Bryant, the crew chief for Sterling Marlin, says they don't know how badly they've hurt that race car when they hit the wall up there. Their spotters, who are located high around the racetrack, are trying to visually inspect the car as it goes by at whatever speed it's running now, not far off race speed. And they're also communicating with Sterling on the radio, but they've said that Sterling has not been able to tell them very much about how the car is driving. Let's go to the garage area and Mike Joy.
Like Dick Trickle, Butch Miller is one of America's best short track racers, but he's had a tough time cracking the NASCAR market. It's got to be tough to stand here while that race goes on without you.
Oh, it's just awful. You know, we're really fortunate that we've got a brand new sponsor, Fruit of the Loom. And, you know, we wanted to show them off, and instead here we are in the garage area.
Is it tougher to sell them than it is to keep them? We'll find out, huh?
We'll find out. No, we're really proud to have the sponsorship, and you know, we're looking forward to a long-term relationship with them.
Well, let's hope there are better days than this. Broken axle put Butch out of the race.
Schrader, 9th in the 25 and sliding back. There goes Mr. Excitement. Jimmy Spencer up around him on the outside. Spencer got on the NASCAR plane, went to Louisville, Kentucky to race last night, then had his number taken down. They took him out of the race and came back on that. Interesting situation. That is tough racing.
Schrader coming into the pits.
Yeah, Schrader down to the inside. He was running in 9th, and you saw him backing up a little.
Apparently he has a tire going down. The crew is out on the pit road ready to go to the right side. He thought he had a flat. I guess it looked like both of those tires were up, but sometimes with the interliners it's hard to tell.
That's the amazing thing. It's hard to believe that a driver with all the experience these fellows have can't tell which tire is the soft one.
Well, they're changing all four.
It's hard to tell because left, you know, that roll center just fool you like mad.
And it also could have been a vibration, maybe a tire equalized, and that is very hard for the driver to tell. If a tire equalized, you get a tremendous vibration.
Here he goes a lap down.
Wallace by with Elliott in second, rather with Allison in second, and Elliott lying third. Away goes Schrader, 1 lap back.
Hope they gave him a cup of strong coffee.
Boy, they're really running close together now after they had an opportunity to make those pit stops under caution. Closer together than they were before the car.
A little here as Rick Wilson suits up through, and look at those cars just...
Yeah, the track is slippery. I have seen it sooner than it is here today, but still, it's a little slippery. They do slide around. Here's Walter trying to make a move on Rick Wilson, but he decides now's not the time to do it.
What's happening at the track, Ned, with the sun behind these clouds?
Well, it would cool off a little bit and help the slick part. It would not be quite as slick as Rick Wilson goes a little high. And look at Walter now take advantage of it, try to move down on the inside.
He had him once. He got by him, and then Rick came back. Hold him. Side by side, Rick Wilson on the outside, about 170 miles an hour here. Great racing.
Remarkable.
Battle for 6. Here with Waltrip as he challenges again. On the high side goes Rick Wilson. Now there's a Charger.
Yes, he is.
Rick Wilson.
The difference in the lines, they're close together one part of the track and 30 feet apart on another part of the track.
Waltrip trying to deal with Bartow, Florida's Rick Wilson. Chevy versus Olds. Rick, you're
give up.
Look at that four come back on the outside. That's just a great race to watch. Here comes Wilson back again.
Yeah, he's got the high side of the racetrack, and he has a car right in front of him. That's Terry Labonte. That's helping him as far as the draft is concerned. When he comes off the turn, his car is wound up on the outside, and he's able to pull away a little bit.
Labonte is a lap down, showing in 17th position, just in front of this pair. As this war continues, you're right there with Darrell, just looking over. Drops down on the inside, and here they are, side by side across the line again.
Got the hand of the boy from Bartow, Florida. He does not let the reputation of Darrell Waltrip phase him one bit or 1 foot.
Now you talk about intimidation. You know, this is intimidation. The fellow sitting down there just grinding away at you, but now,
look,
Darrell has had to give up.
Not only that, but he has his brother to contend with now.
Yeah, Wilson's car got a little bit loose as he came off the turn, so Darrell decided he better follow him up through there for a little bit.
Darrell parked his brother in Bristol, Tennessee, and Michael says, I owe him one. He says, I'll give it back to him one day. There's Darrell Waltrip continuing to work. That consistent, just plodding line of his. Never looks to be overworking the car. But he has his hands full right now as his young brother is pulling up wanting to challenge.
But look how easily he's able to pull up on him on the straightaways. Of course, picking up the draft, that helps him quite a bit. But Darrell Waltrip has as much engine as anyone out there.
And now Michael falls back a couple of car positions to Darrell into 17. Darrell Waltrip in 7th. Rick Wilson in 6th. Gant up in front of them in 5th. Mark Martin is 4th on the track. Then comes Bill Elliott. A few car lengths in front of him. Davey Allison 2nd. Here's Dave Despang.
$91,200. The bonus here today is the pole sitter could win the race. Kenny Schrader started up front, ran with the leader. Just after that last yellow flag flag. On the last lap before green, they came in and topped off the tank, giving up track position because they thought they were strong enough to get back to the front. Ben, a 30-second pit stop to change all 4 tires. Dennis Conner, what was the problem?
We had a vibration in it, and it kept getting worse, so we just had to change the tires as of yet. We're going to get them rebalanced to see if there was any problem there, or maybe it was a loose lug nut, one or the other. We fixed it when we changed the tires.
Is he back to speed? You've been watching the watch pretty close.
Yeah, he's running just a tick quicker than the leader is right now, but we got a long way to go to catch back up.
Is there enough time for you to catch up?
Excuse me?
Is there enough time for you to catch up?
There will have to be some caution.
That's Dennis Conner. Caution would help him now. Let's go to the garage and Mike Joy.
Well, I'm back near the Bill Venturini garage. Carol Tortorisi is Bill's sister-in-law. Kathy, your sister is married to Bill. What was the reaction in your pit when you learned that car had smacked the wall?
Well, the first about 3 minutes, it seemed longer, we had no contact. We had lost contact through the radios, and my sister kept calling Bill, answer me, talk to me. We had no news. None of the, Winston officials knew that it was him, because when he smacked the wall, he came down so low that he was in the grass, so no one saw him. All they saw, they knew that there was a crash, but they didn't know what car number. So then when we did find out, my sister and I and Bill's father is here. We all walked down to the hospital, the infield hospital. They brought him in, and he has a neck brace on. He is conscious, but we don't know as of yet.
Okay, thanks for speaking to us.
The late report from Gene Haskett here at the Michigan International Speedway. He is conscious, he is talking, he is complaining of injuries, chest injuries, and is being taken by ambulance to the McCauley Hospital in Ann Arbor. He's being taken right now over there, the helicopter directly across from us. We can see that they're just about ready to take him to Ann Arbor for further examination. Meanwhile, car number 27, Wallace, stays out in front.
I tell you who's come alive in the last few laps is Jimmy Spencer in the number 88 car. He's passing car after car, just polished off Richard Petty. Whatever they did to that car during a pit stop has certainly improved its performance.
Car number 27. Rusty Wallace stays in front, 111 laps complete. Interval continuing to build in Wallace's favor. There is the ambulance, the air ambulance, getting ready to take Bill Venturini to Ann Arbor. He's ready to take off. They've just loaded him into the air ambulance, and we'll get a further update on Venturini before we leave you today. Wallace stays first, Allison second, Elliott third, and we'll be back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this message and a word from your local station.
With its 24-valve V6 engine, double overhead cams, and 220 horsepower.
The McCauley Hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Undetermined injuries, but he is conscious, he is talking. That's the latest report. With the race, we're watching as Schrader in the number 25 car tries to get back up here. He has just whaled through about 6 automobiles. He is running a lap down. We have him as outside of the top 20 at the present time. Clearly as quick as anything on the racetrack. He tries to gather some steam to get back in this thing. He sees $91,000 trickling away. The man that won the pole in the special skins game that's going on these days. He can win the race as well. Gets a big bonus, and that bonus will jump to some $98,800 if Schrader is not successful today when next they gather at the World Center of Speed, Daytona Beach. Annual festivities centered around the 4th of July. Actually, the race on Saturday, July 1, the Pepsi 400 down there. Stays out in front. Here's Davey Allison, your second place racer, and just in front of him, number 7, Alan Kowicki, who was a lap down in 14th position. Kowicki back to Allison around this 2-mile track. Last year, Davey Allison won here in the August race, and he said handling the hot weather was the key to victory at Michigan.
This racetrack for our race car seems to loosen up as the temperature goes up. The car stays a lot tighter when the air temperature is cooler or there's some cloud cover over. And each time the clouds would come over last year, we'd run a little bit faster, so we'd just tighten the car up when the sun came out. and we were able to continue at the same speed, and that helped us to win the race at the end.
Davey Allison trying to do it again here at the Michigan International Speedway. You see Bill Elliott drawing ever closer, the number 9 car in 3rd position. Mark Martin lies 4th. Harry Gaddis 5th. Rick Wilson stays in 6th. Darrell Waltrip is in 7th. And it's almost a replay of some events we've seen earlier this year. Here you are with Darrell Waltrip still encountering a stiff competition from car number 4, Rick Wilson. Wilson just hasn't backed off at all. He stayed right there with him, taking that slightly higher line. Kawicki slowing down.
He was already a lap down as a result of getting caught in the pits when the caution came out on a routine pit stop, but now about to go further down. This would certainly be an unscheduled pit stop for Alan Kawicki. He has the car down out of the way of the other traffic. Coming in rather slowly, Ken.
Sounds like the engine is off.
Yeah. He's had such a tough season. Nice guy from Wisconsin.
Won his first race a year ago, Phoenix, Arizona. In Winston Cup competition, he's going right behind the wall, so he'll be the 5th retiree from the 40 starters.
He keeps working the gear shift lever as if maybe something might be wrong there.
Engine failure, the story in 4 of the last 5 races for Alan Kawicki. He's saying, give them the scuffs. He says somebody might want them. Immediately thinking about some other competitors out there that might need the tires that he is not now going to use.
Well, apparently that does mean he's out of it completely for the day.
He has a shop in Chicago that does nothing but build engines for his team.
Another one of those guys that doesn't get enough credit for the sportsmanship that he shows. Alan Kawicki, first thought as he retires from this race, and he really meant to do well here today. It's home track for him, Winston Cup competition.
Ken, not too many races ago, he was in the top 5 in the Winston Cup point standings. Going into the race today, he had dropped to 12th, and this could drop him even farther down the line.
Here's Schrader, 2 cars back from Waltrip. Remember, he's running a lap down, but he's flying through the field. That 25 car, he darts back in there. There's Brett Bodine directly behind, and Brett Bodine is closed up on Waltrip real good, as they say. Brett Bodine in the Bud Moore car, right there.
Brett having a good run here today. He's had some good runs this year, but he too has had a lot of tough luck, like many of the other drivers in the field. Bud Moore's cars always run well on this racetrack, and Brett doing a good job of driving today.
Waltrip in 7th, Brett Bodine in 8th. Here's Dave Despay.
Well, Ken Squire, you call him Mr. Excitement. Buddy Baker calls the driver of number 88, Jimmy Spencer, the most promising young driver that he's ever seen, and he's put him in his race car. The Crisco Oldsmobile being piloted by Spencer in his first appearance here at this racetrack, and only his 3rd Winston Cup race. The car was pushing early. He wanted to go toward the wall instead of turn the corner. They went a lap down. Now they're running only a second slower than the leader. As for Spencer's part, he says he's tickled to death to be with Buddy Baker and thinks that this team has a great potential for the future. They've got all their shifting around and sorting out done now. They think this is the team with which they can go win races. I said to Buddy Baker, what kind of guy is Jimmy Spencer? He said he's the kind of guy that if you went up to him and said, there's a guy waiting out by the pit gate with a gun and he wants to talk to you, Jimmy'd say, guess I better get a gun and go find out what he wants. That's Jimmy Spencer, and he's coming on today, kid.
Don't be afraid to take a chance. Here's how you keep cool at Michigan today. Temperatures in the 90s. Thank you very much.
Ken, yesterday,
portable shower.
Jimmy Spencer had to leave early to go race in Louisville, Kentucky in the Busch Grand National race. Buddy Baker took that car number 88 out on the racetrack, and boy, did he turn some heads. First time, I guess, this year that he's been in a car. You know, he retired mid-season last year after he had a problem, and but he did a good job.
He told me, I was down there when he pulled in, he says, oh, Lord, this felt so good, and he was smiling like I hadn't seen him smile in weeks, months.
Right now, Rusty Wallace is pulling out. He's got a 5 1/4 second lead over Davey Allison, the widest interval of the day.
You just saw Jimmy Spencer there, the 88 driver, Says, don't be afraid to take a chance. He said, that's what Bugsy Stevens, old Carl Bergman, Bugsy Stevens, the old modified champion, told him. He said, go for it. And that's what he's doing. There you see the number 88. Formerly driven by Craig Sachs, and now the former modified champion of NASCAR out of Pennsylvania. Cut his teeth on tracks like Port Royal. Is Waltrip having trouble here? No, he's right there, but around him comes Bodine.
Yeah, Brett Bodine has passed him since we saw him just a few laps ago, but he's hanging in there. I don't know if that car is working as good. Here's Schrader down on the inside of him, trying to make a pass, but Waltrip tried that on Rick Wilson for so long and was not able to use the inside to make a pass. Be interesting to see if Schrader can.
Brett Bodine pulling up a spot. Look at Petty getting in here again. Richards having a great day. He's in 9th spot. He's up here in the lead lap. 127 of 200 laps complete. And look at Schrader dive to the inside. That car working so well down there.
But you can see it slides up a little bit. Once he gets down there, he just can't make the pass.
Petty giving him some room. There's Brett Bodine having an excellent run. Showing 7th.
See Waltrip going high. Here's Schrader coming down on the inside. But he loses more RPMs when he goes down on the inside than those that stay up higher. They keep their RPMs up a little bit more. And you can see what happens then when they come off the turn. He pulls away.
Waltrip in that 8th position giving us those pictures. In 9th is Richard Petty. And you're back in there again.
Up front, Bill Elliott has moved by Davey Allison for 2nd place. He's 6.5 seconds behind leader Rusty Wallace.
There's Wallace in 1st, and there you see that lengthy interval. Back to the 2nd place man. Now Davey Allison. Now Bill Elliott. They've swapped it back and forth. It is Elliott in 2nd. Davey Allison in the 3rd spot. Mark Martin in 4th. And Harry Gant right there in 5th, where he has been for some time.
In fact, he just moved up to 4th.
Here's Mike Joy.
And the tire war in NASCAR is over. Hoosier is gone, and Goodyear's the sole supplier, but we're back behind Mark Martin's pit. Look at all the tires, 44 of them counting the tires on the race car. There are separate compounds for the left side and the right side, different rubber compounds, so that's 22 of each. And they're each marked with their circumference, 89.5, 88 3/8, 89.5, and that's why they need 11 sets, so that on pit stops they can match up the right tire circumference left to right. That's the stagger we spoke of earlier. Get the right combination on the car. $175 a piece times 11 sets, still a lot of money.
Make a pretty good dent in anybody's weekend recreation activity, one of those tire bills.
Sure will. Yes, sir. Boy, look at the battle we got going on here as they're in heavy traffic.
They're in there door handle to door handle. This is tight racing.
Waltrip so smooth coming out of turn 2 into the back straightaway. Kyle Petty directly in front of him. Earnhardt down on the inside there in the number 3 car, the black machine.
Now, Petty and Earnhardt are a lap down. Kyle trying to pass Dale Earnhardt for position. And it looks like the high side of the racetrack, the groove has moved up, and it looks like the high side is the place to be now.
Rusty Wallace stays out in front. Here's a replay. The Waltrip car just a moment ago. Watch this.
Okay, he's coming up on traffic. And it looks like he was almost out of control. Mike Joy.
Dale Earnhardt making a stop here at lap 131. It's right side tire. Kurt Shelburne jumps away, and David Smith comes the jack, and Danny Myers almost goes down pit road, and he gave it a little head shake of frustration as if he might not have got that whole can of gas in. But they've been struggling with it today, and they're still playing catch-up.
I think he was shaking his fist. A moment ago, we saw Waltrip shaking his fist at someone out there as we continue to watch.
Well, we wonder if he got tapped a little bit. Let's see if we can tell what did. Certainly not from the front. Everything was okay. But look how he really has to turn the steering wheel, and then he shakes his fist. So apparently somebody tapped him a little bit from the rear.
Bill Elliott in 2nd, Harry Gant 3rd, Davey Allison in 4th. Working live inside of Darrell Waltrip's car another time. Rick Wilson is 6th. Waltrip line 7th. Putting a lap on Neil Bonnet. Rusty Wallace. 133 laps complete. of 200 here at the Michigan International Speedway.
This fantasy is brought to you by Unical. Since 1951, we've fueled more NASCAR winners than all other gasolines combined. And we put that same high performance and winning spirit into gasolines for your car.
And that was a fine piece of driving.
All but nothing.
What's that, Murph?
Nothing, nothing, Ed. There's nothing.
Die Hard, America's most trusted replacement battery. The one over 65 million have stepped up to. Now Sears introduces the most powerful Die Hard battery ever. New Die Hard, more power.
Pit stops are the order. Let's go right to Mike Joy.
Rusty Wallace is on pit road. Davey Allison coming in right behind him. Wallace was the race leader when we went to caution as Waltrip flashes by. They're trying to get all the gas in along with those right side tires. Crew chief Barry Dodson opts for 4. Tires all the way around on Wallace. Dick Trickle is in. Now Davey Allison's crew, they're looking at the race leader. They've got the right sides done, and Robert Yates hustles that jack around. Most everybody that hasn't just been in may get the 4 tires. Yates talking to his driver. They finish up on Davey Allison. A little bit lengthy stop here, and he stalls it. They get him refired. Davey's away.
Caution out for the 3rd time today. Created by a blown engine, number 75. The Mock Rahili car going into turn 1. Watching from Darrell Waltrip's vantage point, what happened to Morgan Shepherd just moments ago.
And that Kyle Petty right in front of him. Kyle dips down to the inside, and you can see Morgan Shepherd's car, and he immediately takes it out of the groove up to the high side of the racetrack. Very smart move, getting the car out of the way of the oncoming traffic.
Somebody left a tire out here on pit road. That's a no-no. 3rd caution of the day. Let's go to Dave Despain.
Well, Morgan's misfortune was preceded by just a few laps by Alan Kulwicki's retirement to the garage area, and it's no consolation when you recognize what the problem is. It was familiar to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened to us last weekend in Pocono, and I don't really know what's causing it. You know, we're doing the same thing we've done the same way all year long, and they were new bolts and everything, and it should have flywheel bolts off the car again, and that's really too bad. The car was really running well. We had pitted, and the caution flag came out the next lap, and we had gotten a lap down, but I had just gotten by Davey Allison, was going to try to make a run at Rusty, and the Zurich 4 Thunderbird was running good, but unfortunately, it's not going to be there at the end of the race today.
Can you take your helmet off now and put your mechanical engineer's hat on and figure out what the problem is here and get it stopped with this one 2 in a row?
Well, not without looking at it. I really don't have any idea. I'm just really baffled right now.
Baffled and frustrated, Alan Kulwicki is out of the race. Ken?
And I assure you that he'll find the answer before too long. That's the kind of guy he is. On board the Goodyear Enterprise today, providing aerial views of the Michigan International Speedway. Goodyear's Gyrocam 360 giving us marvelous pictures. Mike Joy.
A little bit of smoke billows from both tailpipes out the left side of Davey Allison's car. Robert Yates is car owner, crew chief, and engine builder. They were first looking at spark plugs. Now they are going to change spark plugs on that car. That piece of metal is an insulator to keep the heat from the headers off the spark plug wires. They'll have to go in there and make sure first that the wires are on, because no electricity from the coil means no spark. If they are, they're going to fire it up, do the best they can. They don't have a spark plug wrench out, so they are reattaching those plates. We'll see what's next and talk to Robert when he's done.
Well, that yellow flag erased a 6.5-second lead that Rusty Wallace worked so hard to build.
We have 136 laps complete, so they can't go the distance from here on a tank of fuel. They'll be in for another stop.
Well, they have the hood down, and look at the smoke as he fires that car and heads back out. Doesn't sound like it's hitting on all 8 either as he moves out. Right behind him was Dale Jarrett as they have the hood up on his car. They're doing work to hit on the right front. The suspension, something went wrong with it.
Looks like another lap before they turn them loose. Here's Mike.
Robert Yates talking to his driver, Davey Allison, trying to look at Davey, looking at temperatures, listening to how the engine feels, and they'll figure out, try to diagnose it from there. Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, we've got a hole. It's not pushing out the breathers, so it's not coming through the, like through the piston. It must be a valve.
So nothing they can do from here but ride it out. Now, he'll be down on horsepower, but as we've seen, these 8-cylinder engines, even when they lose one jug, they still run along here pretty well. So Davey may not have a chance to win this thing, but he'll pile up some Winston Cup points and could figure in the outcome.
And we're still just midway through the season as they move to Daytona Beach on July the 1st. As we watch them go by us this time, Wallace is first. They're getting green next time by. Harry Gant second. Mark Martin is third. Brett Bodine fourth. Ricky Rudd is in fifth. Wilson is in sixth. Seventh is Bill Elliott. Eighth is Darrell Waltrip. Ninth is Richard Petty. 10th is Cope, 11th is Lake Speed, 12th is Marlin, 13th is Davey Allison, and going 14th is Dale Earnhardt, being shown in the lead lap as they get ready to go back under green.
But he's barely in the lead lap. He's just in front of Rusty Wallace, so he's at the tail end of the lead lap.
He'll have to stay out in front of Wallace in order to be counted as being in the same lap, and that's highly unlikely the way Wallace's car is running.
See him right behind the pace car here, Chris, back straight away.
Earnhardt is now 2 laps down.
They're saying 2 laps down.
He had made a green flag pit stop, remember, just not long before this caution came out. So he's not at the tail end of the lead lap. Sterling Marlin, we saw him get into the wall after the last restart, but he stayed out there, did not come in the pits. He slowed down for a little while, felt the car was okay, so he stayed out there. As a result, he's still in the lead lap.
137 laps complete. 138 when they come to the stripe this time, and they will go back to green. 200 laps of distance, and here is Wallace scooting out in front. Earnhardt on the inside. Bodine, many laps down, is also there in the bottom of your picture. Field rolls out beneath the starter stand into the first turn.
Ken Schrader sneaking up the inside there and getting a few free passes on his way to try and getting the lap back.
At the moment, Wallace, as a year ago, is the class of the field. Here you see him pulling away from the rest of them in the back straightaway.
Well, that car works so well in the turns, and you talk to every driver down there, and they say handling is one of the key factors here. Horsepower is very important, but you've got to be able to get through those turns and get off of the turns to be able to use that horsepower.
Gann stays right there in second spot. Mark Martin in the number 6 car lies third.
What's it like, Ned, when you're out there and some guy you respect is next to you on the left, but some guy you don't know anything about, and a newcomer's on your right, and you're in the sandwich?
Certainly, you're a little bit more careful about that fellow that you don't know that much about, especially at the speeds they run here.
Well, the field at only 40, they know most of these people pretty well. Mike Miller was new into this race, Venturini, but they'd seen him run. They knew him from some super speedways.
You got Jimmy Spencer and Butch Miller and guys like that that are not familiar. They know that they by reputation.
There's the 88. That is Spencer down on the inside of Waltrip. Mr. Excitement. When he was a modified, he cut his teeth on dirt up there in the central Pennsylvania region. I said to him, I said, what do you like best? He said, I like it side by side. Here he is right there side by side with young Waltrip and with Darrell. See Mike Waltrip in the yellow and green, number 30 just in front. There's the 88 dipping back to the inside.
Doesn't look like 170-some miles an hour, does it?
Spencer is aggressive. He is a cut like Earnhardt. Second place car, Gant in trouble. Slowing down, number 33, Harry Gant. Winner at Darlington earlier this season. Coming out of it.
Was having an awfully good run here today. Richard Petty way down on the inside, making it 3 abreast down the front straightaway. You can see him in the middle of the screen there. Waltrip on the outside. Can they make it?
Reminds me of Formula One. It's so different.
There's the 43 on the bottom of the racetrack. Yeah, they've had more lead changes halfway than they have in the whole season.
That's right.
Here's Mike Joy.
Harry Gant has coasted in, and they're struggling to get the hood pins loose and up on the Skull Oldsmobile. Have a look inside, and they are too taking. Oh, and it's fired up now, and flame as it backfires out through the tailpipe. So the car has either lost ignition time or cam timing to be doing that. We're going to close the hood slowly. Go to Davis Bain. We're in the
Jack Roush team pits where Mark Martin is having a good run. He's third. He was in the middle of that mix with Harry Gant. This is a team that is long overdue to win. Jack Roush is a legend in road racing. He came stock car racing the beginning of last year. He said with a long, long list of mistakes that they had to get out of the way. The last one was leaving a lug nut loose at Sears Point, California, put the car on its top. But today they've got a shot at winning. Steve Meal is the team manager. Steve, how good a shot do you have at winning right now?
I don't know. Rusty's awful stout, but our little Thunderbird goes real good on wore-out tires. So if this thing would stay green, we'd have a pretty good chance. But right now, Rusty Wallace is definitely the man.
You're not racing for second spot, though. You're not. Nobody races for second place. You're not going to settle for it, are you?
They don't settle for it in the boardrooms. We're not going to settle for it on the racetrack. We got a lot of big support here for all this crowd trying to get something done. If we don't win, we're real disappointed. Second's okay, but we're aiming to win one.
Steve Meal is the team manager. Robin Pemberton, the crew chief. They grew up together in New York, and they say that Mark Martin has more input into this car than any inexperienced driver in the field. Let's go back up pit road to Mike Joy.
Harry Gant is talking to Leo Jackson on the radio, see if he can get this thing fired back up. The water temperature is only 200 degrees. Can't tell the oil pressure because he hasn't got it cranked. But they're going to give it one more shot here. Roll Harry back out to the pits, but he has not as yet tried to fire that engine, and the hood pins aren't in it, so I'll guess they're going to push him all the way back to the garage.
Unfortunate day for the Jackson brothers again at car number 33.
4 wide of the turn there. This is some race we're seeing today.
And here you are inside Darrell Waltrip's car as he continues to work on his own brother, Michael Waltrip. Running, I believe, a lap apart at the present time. Darrell showing in 8th position. Richard Petty is in 7th and number 43. Brett Bodine in 6th. Ricky Rudd showing up there in 5th. Rick Wilson is 4th. Bill Elliott is in 3rd. Mark Martin 2nd. Rusty Wallace setting a hot pace now. Has pulled out to a pretty good lead. Here comes Davey Allison very slowly another time across the start-finish line area and being lapped as they scoot down into turn number 1 by Wallace, the leader. Staying up on this one as they jam this pack of cars down into the first turn. Here's Waltrip coming to the inside now, trying to move around Brett Bodine. That's for 6.
Waltrip's car seems to be set up to run low on the track, whereas most others like it up higher.
And look at Petty pushing that 43 ever forward. Marvelous run for Richard Petty, the 74 winner of this event. Waltrip trying to close in on Richard.
Just some great racing here back in the pack.
Richard Petty. And all of a sudden, Mark Martin and Elliott are into it. Here comes Elliott, just motored up there and pulled by Mark Martin.
For second place. The Fords, which were out after the first round of pit stops, are back now. Fords, we have 2nd and 3rd, and Brett Bodine is up there.
Let's take a look. Here we are with Waltrip again, passing Dale Earnhardt down 2 laps. Time for Darrell Waltrip to really go to work here.
But Earnhardt tries to come back on the inside.
147 of 200 laps complete. Richard Petty in 6th. Waltrip is 7th. Dale Inman watching his cousin Richard having a great day. One of their best so far this year. Davey Allison retires, goes back to the garage area.
And the rookie sensation Huck Strickland, who was having such a good run here today, is on pit road with the hood up on his car, so he's losing a lot of time.
See the interval from Wallace in the white car back to number 9, Bill Elliott running at 2nd. Gives you an idea of how they're set up around the track. So as matters stand, Wallace 1st, Elliott 2nd, Martin 3rd. 148 laps complete.
Here's the leader in compact
National Speedway with Chris Economaki and Ned Jarrett topside. Mike Joy, Dave Despain in the pits. I'm Ken Squire, and CBS bringing you flag-to-flag coverage today of the 21st running of this $615,000 event. The interval pretty lengthy one between Wallace and Elliott by the standards of Winston Cup racing. Here is the number 9 car in second. Bodine is several laps down. There is your leader, Rusty Wallace, Pontiac, and there's the second place Ford, followed by Mark Martin third, Rick Wilson fourth, Rudd fifth, Richard Petty in sixth. Waltrip in seventh. Brett Bodine has fallen to eighth. Now here's Waltrip challenging Richard Petty. The scrap is for sixth position.
They have been racing pretty hard for a number of laps. Petty has been trying to move up on Ricky Rudd, who is not too far in front of him. Rudd running in the fifth position. The Waltrip hounds, you can see the green car of Ricky Rudd right in front of Richard Petty there. But Waltrip still hasn't been able to do much with Petty.
There you see Ricky Rudd just in front of them. Remember, he came from 31st on the starting grid today. Had a bit of a problem in qualifying. He was one of those ones that got sucked into this first turn. He got a little sideways, and it cost him, but he's looking great today in that Kenny Bernstein car. Mike Joy.
Petty pit here is upbeat. He's looking for his first top 10 finish of this racing season. Richard said the car's running fine, but the report from Darrell Waltrip is that Richard may be leaking a little bit of oil. He's reported that to NASCAR. But taking a look here at the pit where Richard's been, there's been no oil leaking from the race car, and they can't find any problem. Richard's in sixth, running for fifth, and if that number comes up on the board, what I want to see is those fans go up on the air when 43 pops on the board. Let's go to Dave Despain.
Well, a good day for Richard, a short day for Hut Strickland. The car has just retired moments ago. Doug Richard, the crew chief, what's the problem?
Well, it seemed like the clutch started slipping on us, and it got worse and worse, and it just got where the thing would not pull at all.
10 years ago, this guy came here as a green crew chief from California with a rookie driver named Dale Earnhardt and a new car owner named Rod Osterlund. Rod Osterlund is the owner of Hut Strickland's car. It's kind of a reunion for you guys. Are you going to repeat history and take Hut Strickland to the championship?
Yeah, well, it's quite an honor to start back with Rod Osterlund, Roland Wolotica, and Hut Strickland as a driver. The Heinz Ketchup Pontiac was performing real well today, and it's one of those ones you hate to let go, but you know, I hope people seeing that the Osterlund Motor Ventures does have the potential of running good, and we hope to, you know, have that for the rest of the year, which I feel no problem we should.
Quickly, what's the timetable for this team? You see this being a championship contending team in a year, 2 years, what?
Well, we're going to try to mold it together as a very competitive team. Once we become competitive, then I can take an outlook to see what the future will lie.
Doug Richard with a rookie driver, but back home again with Osterlund Racing.
Meanwhile, good scrap going on. Number 83, that red and white car, Lake Speed, has just moved around the 15 car that's run in the middle as they go 3 deep into turn 1 of Brett Bodine. There you see the Bodine car, and he is falling back a bit. He was making a very good run. Lake just went by him. Here's Kyle Petty pulling up. Jimmy Means, blue number 52 there, also in this large pack of cars. And there's the interval from Ricky Rudd back in 5th. Petty and Waltrip back to this gaggle of cars. Lake Speed in that 83 streaking away. He is in 8th spot and running a good, consistent race all afternoon.
Yeah, Lake's having a good run here. In fact, he has run good in most of the races recently, Ken. He's had some problems in a few of them, but he has been very competitive.
Looks like the largest crowd at Michigan International Speedway in history out for this 21st annual 400-mile Winston Cup contest. They move on next. July 1st, Daytona Beach, the Pepsi 400, then July 23rd, Pocono, and July 30th, we'll be with you for the Die Hard 500 at Talladega, Alabama. Lead continues to be Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott in second. Can anyone stop Wallace today? We're going to find out very shortly.
A legend has been created, a better battery for the future, better with more reserve power, better with a warranty that lasts over 6 years, better with savings of at least $16, including a $10 rebate. The legend from Napa, a better battery.
A group of hand-picked professionals have gathered for a close look at a surprising Honda. Engine efficiencies suggest remarkable power. Acceleration is actually controlled through the operator's fingertips. The Honda HT Series Lawn Tractor. It's one Honda you won't see on the road.
And now, no down payment, 90 days, same as cash for purchase through July 16th.
It's that eye-catching, head-turning, double-taking, no mistaking, gleaming, beaming, unbelieving. turtle wax shine. That neck cream and shine sustaining, heart show finish, undiminished, traffic stopping, eye popping.
Remains 5 leaders as Rusty Wallace has dominated. 8 lead changes, 138 mile an hour average, well off the record of 153.5 set by Wallace in winning this race in 1988. Here you see the cars that have fallen by the wayside. Number now up to 10 cars out of competition. Moments ago, third place runner Mark Martin on pit road. This was moments ago. He came in. They changed all 4 tires on that car.
Apparently they don't know which one is giving trouble, so they had to do both sides. It cost him 31 7/100ths of a second to do that work, and he lost another lap, unfortunately. Mike Joy.
Well, Steve Emile and Robert Pemberton, the crew chief, and they are, you can see, disgusted. Mark Martin has 2 second-place finishes here this year. They've had 2 almost, and man, another tough day when it looks like you had one in sight. Cut tire.
Well, we know we didn't have a whole lot for Rusty today. He's awful stout, but we were a good second or third place car, and the point standings thing was looking real good, but it's not over yet. A long way to go. Anything can happen, as you just saw.
Now, the best thing is you can now go the distance without another stop. 41 laps?
Yeah, everybody has to stop, but they'll stop with like 15 or 18 to go and probably just get fuel, so they'll be gone. They'll beat us by 15 seconds still. So it hurt us, but, you know, one of them deals.
Thanks, Mike. Bill Venturini has been admitted to the hospital in Ann Arbor where they're saying it's temporary serious, and he's being examined at this time. On the leaderboard, Wallace first, Elliott second, Rick Wilson to third. Waltrip has moved around Richard Petty. Therefore, we will have Rudd fourth, Waltrip fifth, Richard Petty sixth. For just a moment, we saw Richard Petty up on the leaderboard in the top 5.
Yeah, now Darrell Waltrip has moved around Ricky Rudd and has moved into 4th place. Yeah, Petty was running 5th there, but now trying to take over the 5th position from Ricky Rudd, as we can see out the rear window of Darrell Waltrip.
The story right now is Bill Elliott is chipping away at Rusty Wallace's lead. It was 3 seconds, now it's down to 2.17, and he's closing lap after lap. We're going to have a battle for the lead in about 6 laps.
There you see the top 14 after 155 laps. First to second right there. That's the interval. Fellow doing his own monitoring here today. Got a little scanner, checking at what they're saying.
Yep, and he's got all the different teams there listed as to which number he punches, I guess, and he can listen in on what they're saying.
Again, Lake Speed up to 7th position, just behind Petty in the 43, having an excellent run. Bodine in 8th.
Brett Bodine in 8th position. Jeff Bodine had trouble early. He's a number of laps down. Brett Bodine having one of his best runs of the year.
11 cars being shown in the lead lap. And they're showing Sterling Marlin up in that 10th position in that lead lap. Remember, he had a little fracas up here in turn number 4. Put it up toward the wall, bent it a little, but kept right on going.
Yeah, he's moved up to 9th now. He's moved around Derek Cope, who is still in the top 10, still in the lead lap.
Well, they must have given Rusty Wallace the word that Elliott was closing, because it was 2.17 seconds 2 laps ago. Then it opened up to 2.25, and now 2.38 seconds, the interval between first and second as they cross the line this time.
It would be interesting to know what the call is to Rusty Wallace and that Raymond Beetle crew, Barry Doxson and company down there. They may have told him to put the spurs in it.
He doesn't have to be reminded too often, though.
But I would imagine they have told him not to run this car overly hard if he doesn't need to out here today. This is such a difficult track. It looks so easy, this D-shaped thing, but it is so tricky.
Well, sometimes when you get out there in a position by yourself, like Rusty is, you can sort of get lulled into a particular lap time frame and maybe not be pushing the car as hard. He certainly doesn't want to take any chances as he laps Neil Bonnet, who Neil has a cylinder lost, but he'll drive very carefully. Let's go to Mike Joy in pits.
Well, let's answer that question of yours upstairs. Harold Elliott, with Bill Elliott coming on, did you give Rusty a speed-up signal?
Yeah, we did. He started catching us a little bit quicker than we thought, so we had to go ahead and speed up. We were trying to conserve a little fuel, but I took a look, and Bill's getting the same identical mileage as we have, so he's probably going to pit on the same lap as we will for about 7.5 gallons. ones, and that's going to be the end of it there.
Now, these Elliots aren't related. Will you be coming in any earlier than if you'd let him ride a bit and wait for maybe a caution?
Probably would. Maybe a lap just to be on the safe side, but since he's coming on as quick as he is, we're going to have to stretch it about one lap farther than we need to, so we won't have to stay on pit road as long.
We'll look for the stop at lap 183 or 184 here in the Wallace pit. Dave Despain?
Report from Dave in just a moment. We're watching as this man, Rusty Wallace, continues to try to work on a bit of a cushion over Bill Elliott in the number 9 Ford. Elliott is trying to secure his best finishing position of 1989. He's at a third, looking for a second or better here today, and there you see him, ready to put another lap on Eddie Bierschwale. Rick Wilson lies third, and looking a little further back, there's the scramble continuing. Here you see Ricky Rudd in that 26 car, who is in fifth. Waltrip has moved up into fourth. You see Mark Martin lying a lap down, and the number 6 getting a lap back from that pair right now.
Yeah, but he has to pass the leader before he's really officially back in the lead lap, so he's got a long way to go to catch Rusty Wallace.
And here comes Petty to the inside on Ricky Rudd. Fight for fifth. Petty noses out in front of the Pontiac. The 26 on the outside, the Buick there, and they're side by side for fifth. Crowd loving this.
Oh, they do. Look at them stand up and cheer Richard Petty on.
Got it.
Great like fans. You know, Richard Petty has more fans in stock car racing, and A.J. Foyt has them in IndyCar racing. It's interesting about these guys, how they've won the hearts of racegoers all over the country.
Petty to the inside, 200 wins. Been a long time. Back to the inside, and Ricky Rudd won't let go. Smoke pouring out of 43.
Fire coming
Engine goes away on Petty's car. He's trying to control. He loses it. It's spinning toward the infield. Coming back up.
Beautiful piece of driving. Beautiful.
Great save. Gosh.
And, of course, the caution will be coming out. But what a great day for Richard Petty for so long, and then to have to end this way.
Not many drivers will make that save. Now this is going to give everybody an opportunity to make that final fuel stop and then run them wide open to the finish of the Michigan 400. Richard Petty coming on a pit road, bringing out the caution.
Masterly job of driving there with the flames coming out, oil on the tires and so forth.
That's that third turn, which is so difficult to get into that long straightaway and easing in there, and you can see him fighting that wheel and just not overdriving. Overcorrection there, and he could have been in big trouble. He kept it down to the bottom. It started to come up, only came up about 10 feet maximum. Gave the others plenty of room to get around him should there be trouble. He's still some kind of driver.
He sure is. He's still very capable. And he proved that today. I think that he's still capable of driving that race car when he has the car under him.
Caution is out. Yellow is on the track. It is the 4th caution of the day. After the engine expires in Richard Petty's car after he just planked it in the 5th position, and a great dice with Ricky Rudd. Let's see it again.
Well, he's down on the inside of Ricky Rudd. Looked like he had him passed that time, Ken, but just as he let off the gas, the engine let go, apparently.
You can see it inside the left front wheel. Something down there in the lower left front corner of the engine caught fire to begin with.
Of course, that's, it looks like an oil fire, so when the engine let go, the oil was coming out, and it caught fire, and he spun it around, kept it down on the inside of the racetrack.
Little break there.
Did a great job.
Well, Richard Petty brings out the 4th caution of the afternoon. It will allow all these cars, 9 of them, to gang up for a run to the finish with 172 of the 200 laps now complete. Wallace, Elliott, Wilson, Waltrip, Rudd, Speed, Brett Bodine, Sterling Marlin, and Derek Cope having an outstanding day. I'll have a shot at it now as we get down to the finish of this 21st annual Michigan 400. Pits are open.
We have one car left on the track. Here's Mike Joy.
Here's the race leader, Rusty Wallace, and defending champion of the Michigan 400, right side tires. And as yet, no gas. Now the gas man comes over, a little bit leisurely there. He wanted to make sure that tire changer was in position. Right sides are down, and they want all 4 tires. They'll need about a can and a half of gas to go the 28 laps. They've been noodling this out, which set of tires to put on the car. Rusty revving the engine, grill is clean. he's away. And here's Bill Elliott coming out after his pit stop, so Wallace will maintain that track position.
Waltrip away. Notice how those crews on pit road are tired these days after the fire that Richard Petty had. They're being so conscious of safety on pit road with these massive pit stops.
And of course, the fire you're talking about with Richard Petty was at Atlanta back in March of this year when one of his crew members was burned.
Mike Waltrip still in there. The car that stayed on the track and picked up 5 points was Eddie Bierschwale.
Well,
Decided,
no,
what the heck?
No, he was not leading the race. So even though he's the first car behind the
only car out there.
Well, yeah, he's still not leading the race, though.
That's right. He's go. Yeah. Want to impress the sponsor.
Here's Mike.
Barry Dodson's the crew chief on this Rusty Wallace car. I thought my stopwatch broke. I couldn't believe the time on that stop.
Well, it's the least we can do. You know, he's driving his heart out. Kodiak, Pontiac, that's the least we can do for him. They said it was a 20.65, and it was time to do it.
There is a lot of pressure on you guys when you're first in the pits to be first out of the pits.
It certainly is. You can race the 100 miles nowadays, the level of competition we got, not pass anybody. If we can pass 5 or 6 on pit road, we need to do it.
Great job. I don't mind. You're out of breath. Let's go up pit road to Dave Bisbane.
Pitted his car. Bill Elliott has come in for service and 4 tires. First of all, you were catching him before the pit stop. Were you the stronger car?
No, I don't think so. I think we were doing good to hold our own, but we felt like with 4 new tires that we had a good chance to catch him and pace him, and we're kind of hoping we'd have a good enough stop to get him out in front, but just didn't make it.
Didn't quite win the drag race out onto the racetrack. Question now is, can you drive around him on the racetrack?
That's it.
That's not an answer, yes or no?
I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see.
It'll be 9 and 27, shooting it out here in Michigan.
With 14 wins, if he pulls it off today, would be Wallace. In his effort for Bill Elliott today, if he can do it, it would be win number 30. And Pontiac up in front. Pontiac going through a wholesale change in how they're going to put teams out, we understand, for next year, Chris.
And it's only going to be 4 that get factory support, and who those 4 are is a source of great concern among there's 14 Pontiacs in the race here today.
Backstretch, lining up, getting set for the restart. Get green this time by Wallace, Elliott, Waltrip, 1, 2, 3. And here comes Waltrip again, Ned.
It'll be 25 exciting laps.
Now we'll know if Waltrip has been holding anything back. He's that kind of a driver. He just sits there and rides, stays up in the lead lap, keeps himself in the top 10, then eventually moves up to the top 5, and, well, we'll see.
Well, if he does what he says he's going to do, he's going to start racing now. He's just been driving all day.
Pontiac, Ford, Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, and Buick. Top 5, Chris. Here's the 27.
All those executives from Detroit are sitting here looking at one another, wondering just who's going to go home and celebrate.
Mark Martin left down inside. Coming for the green, and a great jump by Wallace, and Waltrip up on the outside makes a run on number 9 Elliott.
Darrell Waltrip is awake, I'll tell you that.
He's into second. Here's Mark Martin just in front of him.
Well, here comes Elliott back down on the inside. Waltrip couldn't hold him.
Corner is so wide, if you can get it to stick in there, you can go through.
I think it's the gearing we talked about earlier in Elliott's car.
Look at Bill Elliott go down on the inside trying to make it 3 abreast. He decided not to do it that time around as he runs up on the 2 lap cars of Kenny Schrader and Mark Martin. Elliott just didn't have anywhere to go.
Mark Martin has been in 10th. Schrader is in 11th. They're swapping positions a lap back. On the inside, here's Elliott. For second place, Waltrip with him in 3rd.
Look at Waltrip decides to follow Elliott rather than someone else. He crossed the track to get down there directly behind him.
Yeah, it's a good smart move on his part. Now Mark Martin, boy, he got close to Darrell Waltrip there as he tried to move up on the outside. Here's Schrader. Now that's 4th position as he and Mark Martin battle there side by side because each of them are a lap down.
And they're battling for 10th. That's for 10th, 25. The number 6 car, Chevrolet against Ford. Up in front, there you see Wallace. Elliott looks like he's reeling him in here.
Yeah, he might be. And it's time to. If he has anything left, it's time to show it. He definitely is. He's moving up on Rusty Wallace.
177 complete of 200.
Look how close he has come to it. Bill Elliott with fire in his eyes won that first victory of 1989. He's tired of people asking him every week, what's wrong?
Did you think anything was wrong?
Well, yeah. Starting the season when we saw him in Daytona with the broken wrist, that got his whole program off kilter, and then they had a tough time figuring this 1989 T-Bird out. But I think they have now. Certainly it's shown here today that they're very close.
A lot of naysayers old out there right now.
I just think he's a very smooth, very good driver, and it was just a matter of getting his team back together again, and we may see it happen right here today as he closes in. Now he goes, he did an inside-outside maneuver. Now Wallace going high. That may be what
look at
Elliott wants.
The racetrack.
They're both throwing the dummy out here, taking the high side, taking the low side.
This is Saturday night someplace in Rusty Wallace's style right now.
Elliott closes in again.
This looks very much like the Bill Elliott of old, Ken, but it's not the Bill Elliott I talked to this morning. I don't think I've ever seen the Winston Cup champion more demoralized.
We'll get back to Dave in a moment, having a little problem there.
Here it is.
Here's the pass. Maybe. Got it. Elliott down to the bottom. Here comes Wallace right back again. Middle of the corner. Pontiac gets his boot in it, does Wallace. He moves around the outside. They both smoked the tires a little.
Yeah, I think Rusty just drove it in a little bit deeper into that turn than did Bill Elliott and regained the lead. So Bill's going to have to set him up again. He knows now where he can make the pass.
Okay, man, what's it going to be? A man winning this race or a car winning this race?
Well, I don't know. This car's look very equal right now, and so I think it's going to be the driver.
180 complete, 10 to go, and here comes Elliott back on the inside.
Well, he really beats him off of turn 4, and that's an important place on the racetrack to be able to beat someone. Just 20 laps to go, and Elliott has taken the lead now. Looks like he might be able to hold it through 1 and 2 this time.
2 car lengths. 20 laps to go. Back straightaway. 4 car lengths. He's pulling away.
Is Rusty going to even be able to hang on to the draft? Elliott has turned it loose.
Wallace coming back a bit here as he has before in the middle of the turn. We asked Bill Elliott whether he'd rather lead or be in the draft coming down the stretch.
You need to be out front here because, you know, the way these cars are nowadays, you can't really follow anybody and do any good. You've got to be able to be up front and let them work to get by you.
There he is out in front, 5 car length advantage. Waltrip stays 3rd, Wilson 4th, Brett Bodine 5th, Ricky Rudd is 6th, Lake Speed is 7th, Sterling Marlin 8th, Derek Cope 9th, Mark Martin a lap down in 10th, fighting with Schrader. Mark Martin to the inside, still picking up ground in the Roush car.
Well, Darrell Waltrip knows he's a lap down, so he's not going to fight him too hard. In fact, he might just let him go and say, hey, maybe I can pick up his draft and pick up a little speed here.
The speed lies with Bill Elliott first, looking for that first win of 1989. Ernie Elliott looking on out of Dawsonville, Georgia. His dad and mother home watching. I'm sure they have their fingers crossed right now. As does the crew at the famed Dawsonville Pool Hall. Bill Elliott staying in front and drawing away from Rusty Wallace in second. Back with more of CBS Sports coverage of the Michigan 400 after this word from your local station. Car number 52 has just crashed at turn 2. Jimmy Means has smacked the wall hard, very, very hard in turn 2. Caution has just been unfurled. Coming back to the line. Safety crew already there. Former Alabama fellow, now living in North Carolina. One of the best liked of the what they call independents. Coming back to the line. Yellow is out. And as they come to the stripe, Bill Elliott first, Wallace second, Waltrip third, Cross 186 down.
Now will they pit? We'll see the next time around with about 14 laps to go. Let's take a look at it. Jimmy Means had already spun into the wall, and you can see he hit the wall with the front end of the car, which tore it off, so it wasn't a head-on type of a lick.
Swept it off. So this means another restart. A chance for somebody to out-accelerate someone else when the green flag comes down.
Yeah, I'm sure that Bill Elliott didn't want to see this caution.
He doesn't have the right gearing for the quick starts.
Well, the pit crews are ready, whether they're
and Elliott's
decoys
crew is
or
out
not.
there.
Yeah, whether they're decoys or not. Of course, fresh tires will run faster normally than tires that are heated up. And plus the fact that they've run through perhaps some debris on the racetrack from that wreck. Don't want to take a chance as far as cutting a tire down, and so we'll just see.
Can they take a chance in that and wait until another lap goes by before they stop to make sure there's no debris there? Or does that put them too far back in the lineup?
Well, if that leader comes in, you can rest assured that most of the others in the lead lap will come in.
187 complete as they come by this time of 200. Elliott first, Wallace second, Waltrip third, Wilson fourth, Rudd fifth, Bodine sixth, Speed seventh, Sterling Marlin eighth, Derek Cope ninth in the lead lap. Mark Martin 1 lap down in 10th. Let's see. Waltrip stays on. Waltrip stays on the track, as does Rudd. Mike Joy.
Rusty Wallace making his stop. They're going out. It's definitely a 2-tire change. On the right side, they're looking at the lefts. Yes, the lug nuts are coming off. Meanwhile, up at Bill Elliott's pit, the right sides are also changed on Elliott's car, and they're going around. Dan Elliott yanking off a left side tire, getting set to change those as well. Back at the gas tank, Mike Grant on the Elliott car is done. They drop the jack. He's away. Wallace is still working. Still working. They're finishing up the left side lug nuts, and everybody else in the lead right is gone. Bad stop for Rusty Wallace.
Unusual for that team to have a bad stop. They had such a terrific pit stop on the last one, but a little bit slower this time. That's going to cost him.
And the Elliots had a great pit stop, Chris.
They did.
See the 25 car back out, Schrader. Then the 83, that's Lake Speed.
Of course, he's still in the lead lap, Lake Speed, so Rusty Wallace will have to dispose of him before he'd have a shot of getting up there.
Mike, can you update us?
Well, Barry Dodson, I'd love to come and talk to you when it's a great stop, but you know I got to come back. What happened there on the left side?
I missed a peg. I was concerned about him not getting stopped on the right. I just missed a peg on the left. I knew it was close, but I didn't have time to let it down and go back up.
Okay, now Barry's the jack man, and that peg hangs down from the frame, and that's where he puts the jack to be able to lift the car up in the air, and when you miss it, well, then you got to go back for it, and those guys are already trying to yank the wheels off it. So a costly stop for Rusty Wallace. We'll see if he can make some of that up.
It'd be interesting if we could find out what Jeff Hammond has to say about Darrell Waltrip's strategy and not coming in.
Well, I'll tell you, it might not be bad strategy. How many laps we got here? About 12 or 13 laps to go, and
2 or 3 cleanup laps.
Yep, and so his car is running good, but not as good as those two that were up in front of him. And he says, hey, they got to pass me before they can win this thing. So I don't know. I think it's pretty smart strategy.
Waiting for a report on Jimmy Means' car picked up, being brought in after this incident in turn 2.
They're giving them 1 lap to go, Ken.
Brought out the 5th caution of the day. Happened at lap 187. So the field bunches up. We get set for a start. Here you have Waltrip and that 17 car leading the parade down here into turn number 1.
As they say, it ain't over till it's over.
Think he can hold on to it? Doesn't look like he's had the power.
No, I think Elliott can catch him.
Report in on Bill Venturini is that he's in stable condition. That's all we have to report at this time on Venturini.
But it's certainly good news to hear that he was conscious.
Waiting for an update on Jimmy Means. They were very quick getting him out of there, so I presume that he's okay after he smacked the wall.
Yeah, the front end looked bad on that car, but after we saw the replay, it just sort of scraped around and didn't hit the wall head on. So
swept it off.
Yeah, so it wasn't a real hard lick, it didn't look like. bunch them up and get ready for this shootout.
The Michigan 400 from overhead. Goodyear Blimp Enterprise giving us these shots. Pompano Beach, Florida, that we've been enjoying today. Controls, Captain Dick Ash from Sunrise, Florida.
Leader second right now is Ricky Rudd. Third, they're posting Sterling Marlin.
Here's the picture as we get set for the go. Waltrip there in the 17. Ricky Rudd, scramble he's put on today, stays second. Sterling Marlin, the guy that you said at the top was the man who looked for his third. Bill Elliott back and forth. Brett Bodine in fifth. And there's the scramble. And look at Waltrip.
Boy.
Yanked that car out in front.
I'll tell you, he turned it loose. Well, he made a good restart. You know, the last time around, last caution, he had a good restart. But Elliott passed him back pretty quickly. But, boy, not this good. He really moved out. And look at his wife, Stevie. She's very happy about that.
Let's see it. Jeff Hammond looks a little happy, too. 10 laps to go this time by. 10 this time by. And look at that interval.
Look at Ricky Rudd
on the outside.
Second place.
Down they come to the stripe. Wallace lay 8th on that restart. He's right up behind Jimmy Spencer. Dave Despain.
For all the optimism of which we spoke in Bill Elliott terms earlier in this race, when I talked to Bill Elliott this morning, he was a disconsolate champion. He was tired of the competition. He was tired of living in hotel rooms. He was tired of a car that wouldn't run as fast as he wanted to. He was tired of mechanical problems, and he was tired of being behind. I asked him what happens today. He said it'll all depend on how the car runs when I climb under the wheel about 1 o'clock. This car has run like a rocket all day long, and indeed it looks like the Bill Elliott of old. And behind him, it is the crew of old who got him in here and got him out when he needed to be back in front. He hasn't won a race this year, but he's won 6 on this racetrack, and it looks like it could very well be 7 here today.
And there he goes for second spot. He's got Rudd on the outside, and away he goes. There you see the leader, Waltrip in the 17, and into second moves car number 9. Bill Elliott trying to chase Darrell down. Back
and
straight away.
Even coming through traffic, Ken, he is gaining on Darrell Waltrip. I think he has enough time to catch him.
Mike Joy is in the Darrell Waltrip pit.
Well, here we are again, Jeff Hammond at Daytona. Everybody got gas. Darrell didn't want it. Now everybody's got tires. Can he do it?
Mike, I tell you what, it's going to be really close. Bill is just really strong today. We knew the only way we could beat him was just to try to get out in front of him and just get a big jump on him and hope and pray that we can just, hang on. If we do, it's going to be a miracle. But we felt that was our best opportunity. We had our best set of tires on we've had all day, and so we just let Darrell have the best we could.
Yeah, earlier he'd been asking for a lower gear. Would that help him now if he had it?
Yeah, if we had a lower gear, it would really be a big benefit for us. But, we elected to go with just a little higher gear and kind of help us in the finish area. But, that's then, and this is now. We'll just take our lumps as they come.
And that margin is dwindling.
Challenge. Elliott to the inside. Wallace up to 5th. And here's that challenge for the lead. Here's Elliott, bottom of the racetrack, going for first place. There, Waltrip stays with him, drops into the ground.
Crowd is going wild here.
2 laps ago, he was 1 1/4 seconds behind. He gained 0.6 of a second a lap, 2 laps in a row, and blew him off.
And Rusty Wallace doesn't seem to have it this trip.
There's Rusty Wallace closing in on Ricky Rudd. 3rd, Rudd. 4th, Wallace. 194 complete this time by of 200.
Now look how easy Rusty Wallace is able to pull down on the inside and move around Ricky Rudd. Ricky Rudd did not stop for fresh tires. Wallace did. That makes a difference.
Leader pulling away. Elliott building an advantage now after he ran Waltrip down. 5 to go. 5 laps remaining. This time by.
Right.
Waltrip 2nd, Wallace 3rd, Rudd 4th, Bodine 5th. Waltrip just doesn't have any more to give.
Nope, he gave it his best shot. I think his strategy was right. As Jeff Hammond said, they had on the best set of tires that they had had all day long, and so why change them? But it just wasn't enough for Bill Elliott.
Here you are with Dale Earnhardt, the number 3 car. Not a good day. Recorded in the 16th position, 2 laps down.
Elliott's leaving the field at a quarter of a second a lap.
Just marching off is Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, to his 4th win here in the Michigan 400. Going for win number 30.
And Rusty Wallace closing in on Darrell Waltrip.
Ford in front. Chevrolet second, Pontiac third as we get down to the end of this one. What a run by Bill Elliott. His crew standing by. A long season for them since Daytona, that heartbreaking crash in practice. Here is Wallace closing in. 197 complete. Darrell Waltrip having to fend off Rusty Wallace. Plenty of room in these big corners. You're in the corners so long in this racetrack.
Rusty looked inside, decided that was not the time to try to make a move. So he goes down the backstretch, into turn 3, and let's see if he dips down on the inside again. Yep, here he comes.
Second place.
Wallace, let Waltrip give him room. There it goes.
I think that the difference in the number of laps they have on their tires is what's working here. The new tires by Wallace just let him drive down on the inside, drive on around, as did Bill Elliott.
Elliott continuing to draw away, as you can see here. What a run he's made.
How long, then, does the tire edge hold after you put new ones on?
About anywhere from 5 to 10 laps.
They're all the same.
Yes.
Rusty Wallace, last year's winner, settling into second place. Would love to chase down Bill Elliott. Time is not there, and Elliott seems to have the power right now going with him. Back to the line. White flag is out. 1 remaining. There you see Rusty Wallace still trying to close. Running out of track, running out of time.
Just think if Bill Elliott had qualified just a tad faster, the winner's check would be increased by $91,200.
That's right, he started outside of the front row.
About 0.05 of a second.
Coming out of 4. Wallace still closing, but too late. And the winner today is Bill Elliott. The Ford has come back to win here at Michigan, where it won 3 in a row. Ernie Elliott being congratulated.
7th victory on this track for that team. 2 2/100ths of a second, the advantage.
So Bill Elliott's pulled it off. Rusty Wallace coming up to congratulate him after a tremendous run here at Michigan. You'll meet the winner of the 21st Michigan 400 in a moment.
Some guys look at this, they see just another brake job.
Just a few miles from Michigan International Speedway is an Air and Space Museum. And Bill Elliott, you and this car maybe ought to be in it. What a day.
I'll tell you what, Rusty ran so good all day long. And I didn't think I could beat him there. One time he really got hooked up and run on. And my car wasn't exactly right there. And then later on in the race, looked like he got a little bit loose, and I got closer to him. And I was able to catch him and pace him there because he got too loose. And then that pit stop, they got a lot of cars between us, and that really helped me out.
What were you thinking on that last restart? Darrell Waltrip just took off, and there you were, smack in midfield.
Well, all I could do is just fight it out the best I could. I knew the car had come up through there good because it's been doing it all day. We had trouble with the jack one time earlier, and man, I just come back up through there awful good, but there was a couple of cars that really ran good, and then a bunch of cars fell out too.
84, 86, and now 89. You came here looking for your first win of the season, and gosh almighty, here you are.
Back again. It feels good.
Great run today. Congratulations. Let's
Let's go to Dave Despain. He's in the garage area. Well, points are points, I guess. Darrell Waltrip racing for that championship. Third's a whole lot better than where you were last week.
Well, we just had 2 bad weeks, you know, but I want to praise the Lord for a good day. And I knew we'd bounce back. We just had some rotten luck a couple of weeks in a row with a car that was capable of winning both those races. So today we gambled a little bit at the end. I thought it was the right thing to do, and it almost paid off. And next time we come back here with Illumina, I can promise you we'll be a lot better.
I had heard some talk on the radio that you might be looking for a little lower gear today. Could you have geared the car differently and done better with it?
Yeah, we pulled too high gear, and it was killing me off corner. And that's where I was getting beat out a lot. From the middle out, I just could not, I didn't have the power there I needed, and it was my fault. I picked the gear, and Jeff and everybody agreed, but it just turned out the pace was a little slower than we thought it was going to be, and it hurt us.
The good news for you guys is Earnhardt this time had the bad luck and finished a couple of laps down. My question to you, when you were winning those championships, you were the guy who was always consistent, didn't necessarily win all the races, but were always consistent. This year, you've won more races than anybody else. The consistency seems to be not there. Can you get that in the second half?
Well, other than the 2 or 3 bad races, which everybody's had 2 or 3 bad races, you know, it's been better than it was in 87 or 88. So we know that, and that's what we worked on this year to try to get the car to run all day and win races too. We feel like we're there. We're just having some things go wrong that we can't control right now. We get that corrected, the second half of the year will be ours.
Don't think for a minute he's not a championship contender. That's Darrell Waltrip, third today. Back to you, Ken Squire.
Let's take a look at the top 10 here today, averaging 139 miles an hour. The winner is Bill Elliott by 2 9/10 of a second over Rusty Wallace in second, Waltrip in third, Ricky Rudd and Brett Bodine. 9 cars in that lead lap. Kyle Petty finishing in 10th. 1 lap down, Derek Cope with a great run for 9th position today for the Spanaway Washington campaigner, and Rick Wilson had a great day coming home in that 6th spot. Lake Speed up to 7th. Again, we had 9 cars in the lead when it was over. 12 changes among 5 drivers. 28 cars were running at the finish after 5 caution periods of 23 laps. Back in a moment.
Dear Dad, I know you didn't want me to put off college for the Army, but Dad, I'm learning things here that are really going to help me succeed, no matter what I do.
Qualify for the GI Bill and the Army College Fund and earn $17,000 for college for only a 2-year enlistment, or $25,200 for a 4-year enlistment.
Dad, now I'll get the most out of college and the best from myself.
Be all that you can be. Get an edge on life in the Army.
A legend has been created. Not just another battery, but a better battery for the future. Better in reserve power, with up to 2 hours and 25 minutes in reserve for those critical times like when you leave your lights on. Better in protection, with a warranty that lasts over 6 years into the future. Better in availability, since it's now at over 20,000 Napa outlets. Now with savings of $16, the legend from Napa, a better battery.
You know, for outstanding food and great service, you can't beat a cruise on the SF's Good Times. Thanks, Stu. Woo. And with Cold Natural Light, good times are only natural. Having a good time?
Oh. Where there's good food and good times, it's only natural. Natural Light from Anheuser-Busch.
Hey, Stu, a Cold Natural Light for the lady. Oh!
Stu's a good man, but he does tend to go overboard with the natural light.
Oh.
Let's meet the man who drove to second place here today with Dave Despain.
Rusty Wallace having an impromptu press conference here at the gas pumps. Let's see if we can join in here and ask the question of the championship contender. Where did this one fall on the scale of good, bad, or indifferent?
This was a real good run. The car handled perfect all day long. I just got a set of tires next to the last pit stop that was just very loose and allowed Bill to catch me and pass me. And then a caution came out again with 18 to go, and I figured I could get him there. We got in the pits pretty quick, and then our jack broke, and when the jack broke, it got us. Barry was trying his heart out, but we were all working. We'll take that one. Second place is a good run for us. We moved up a lot in the points, and the car ran super strong today. So that's it. And I'd like to congratulate Bill Elliott. He had a great run today, and everybody else. So we'll just give him we'll go back to Daytona and see what we get done with him there.
I saw you soaking a sore right foot here when you came in with the ice bucket. What was that all about?
Well, we got a fan inside the car that keeps the floorboard cool. And about the third lap, I looked down, I felt something hit me in the foot, and it slung a blade off it. And it seized up and broke, and the floorboard got real hot the rest of the day. So before it blistered, I was just trying to cool it down a little bit, and that was about it.
Second half of '88, you were the star. You going to do that again in 1989?
Well, I'll tell you what, I just can't remember a race in a long time that I haven't led or had won or something goes wrong. You know, I mean, Sears Point was a great run for us. Ricky Rudd, he had a great run out there. Pocono last weekend, we're leading the race by a long shot, and we blew a left front tire. Today, we're leading the race by a long shot, and we got a bad set of tires, and then we had a jack break. And when that happened, it was all over.
That's Rusty Wallace, second today, still in the hunt for the championship. Ken?
Let's take a look at how the championship is shaking out right now. Earnhardt on top after today's race still with 2,057 points. Wallace in second place at 1,935, and Waltrip right there at 1,908. It's going to be a great second half to the season. We'll be back with more shortly here at the Michigan International Speedway. Right now, let's get a preview of Sports Sunday. Here's Tim Ryan. Ken, we've got a bit of racing action ourselves here on breezy Brigantine Bay in Atlantic City. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Ryan, along with Gil Clancy. And coming up next on CBS Sports Sunday, live championship boxing featuring light heavyweights Michael Moore and Leslie Tiger Stewart. Gil, let's take a look at these two fighters.
Tim, this should be a real slugfest. Former world champion Leslie Stewart brings worlds of experience to this fight. Here we see him against southpaw Marvin Johnson, stopping him and winning the championship of the world.
National Speedway, Bill Elliott led only 44 of the 200 laps, but he led the one that counted. And we'll have more of the story of this Michigan 400 in a moment.
A Motorcraft spark plug has to fire 500 times a minute. Over its life, that's a spark 5 miles long. Shouldn't you install that peace of mind? Motorcraft quality parts from Ford.
There's a motor oil that says it's engineered for today's smaller cars, like sports cars. But is that motor oil the first choice of the members of the Sports Car Club of America? No. Valvoline is the first choice.
He is standing by with one of the most important factors in Bill Elliott's victory.
Kenny's the man who engineered the victory, a very warmed over Ernie Elliott, but it's never too hot here in Victory Lane. What's made the difference, aside from Bill's injury, to bring this team back from such a slow start this season to Victory Lane here?
Well, just a lot of hard work, you know, and everybody's stuck together, nobody quit. That's the main thing. A lot of good family support, and that's the big key factor, just good support.
And a lot of great engineering. Let's go to Dave Despain.
I think the significant factor today is that Bill Elliott again becomes a contender, and that Rusty Wallace and Darrell Waltrip finish second and third, while the point leader, Earnhardt, is way in the back. Makes me want to watch Talladega in a couple of weeks on CBS.
Final thought from you, sir, as we move forward toward Talladega in July.
Well, being in the racing business, I'm impressed with the quality of the show and the size of the crowd. It could very well be that stock car racing in Michigan will establish the largest sporting crowd for the state.
How about it, Ned Jarrett?
Well, Bill Elliott back, no question about that. He'll be to contend with in the last half of the season. And the 8th winter, 14 races, still a lot of faces that we haven't seen in Victory Lane.
And we're looking forward to a great Die Hard 500 coming up at the Alabama International Motor Speedway. That track always gives us a great race, and I would expect that this year it's going to be another one of those finishes. Terry Labonte has said that's the one track where they finish closer than they start. And I think it's very, very true. We're going to see such a situation, I'm sure, come July 30th. Again today, Bill Elliott is victorious by 2 seconds over Rusty Wallace, finishing in second place. A great victory for the Dawsonville, Georgia champion. Thank you for being with us for our CBS coverage today. And so for Chris Economaki, Ned Jarrett, Dave Despain, and Mike Joy, this is Ken Squire saying so long from the Michigan 400.
This CBS Sports Special, the Michigan 400, has been sponsored by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. The Die Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?